Never mind, Patrick Patricios. I realize you just claw gripped your keyboard and played and like lowered the volume knob and stuff, but never mind. I'm not gonna wait for that song to end. It's Patrick Patricios dance track. I got a feeling. I think the end of it is just him pushing those notes and then gradually lowering the volume. But why drag an opener like that? What is up, everybody? This is Jay, aka MultimediaJay, trying out these Tifosi jets that I got for Geek House Light Mode, and it looks like they are completely out of place for Geek House Dark Mode, because everything in this setup is blue and it's dark, except for the light creeping in, through the curtains and stuff, because the sun hasn't gone down yet. These are more silver. They harken back to the days when two-tone was better, and that's why when I got these and I checked how they looked, I was like, it looks more like a light mode thing for if I wanted to do Geek House Light Mode or something and be on screen. I mean, I'm kind of finding uses for all these sunglasses lately. It's just, I'm telling you, I'm waiting for somebody to crack some ZZ Top jokes about me, because there's an old classic rock song by those guys that's all about find yourself a pair of cheap sunglasses. I've kind of been like the cheap sunglasses connoisseur. And of course, the internet with its temperamental nature when it comes to people creatively expressing themselves or trying to have fun in certain ways that don't appeal to their prissy little egos, has had plenty to say about guys like me who wear sunglasses indoors. But the truth of the matter is, this is a character thing. It's been a thing with me for decades. And if you don't know me, you might be like, what's this old moron doing wearing sunglasses indoors? Something like that. But number one, I am far from the only content creator who does this across both YouTube and Twitch. Some other great examples: Scotty Kilmer does automotive videos on YouTube, wears sunglasses indoors. And most recently, Heel Mike wears sunglasses indoors. Party streamer over on Twitch. A lot of his streams remind me of college parties and stuff along those lines. So if you're older and want to live vicariously and see what the youth of today is up to, because getting drunk would be a big health problem for you in your old age, why not? Plus, it's something to blow off steam too. I mean, not everything that I watch on YouTube or Twitch needs to be infotainment or edutainment or some documentary about some nerd topic or whatever, or a tech video for that matter. Yeah, it's time to talk a lot of different things, but of course we're gonna sit here while all right, so who is this? This obviously isn't Logan, because he would have said something by now. Bringing him out of lurk mode. Or maybe he's waiting for me to say something embarrassing about him so he can be like, haha, I'm listening to you. Kind of like last night with the whole Mario Kart thing. He's over here like, I don't think Jay is really all that involved with Smash Brothers. I'm sitting there just smirking and smirking, waiting for the right moment to let him know that I snuck into his chat because I saw he was online last night over on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Logan589XP. So I was sitting there waiting for the moment where it would be an absolute comic relief for me to be like, oh, so you're picking on old people. Yeah, of course I got clobbered in Mario Kart. Number one, I'm over 40 now, technically. Number two, I'm contemporary to the Nintendo 64, which was how many Mario Karts ago? Asking you shall revive, lol. Yeah, and hello autocorrect. Give Logan a break. I know he meant asking you shall receive. So here's my Mario Kart background. The original Super Mario Kart on the SNES, I'm contemporary to. I thought Super Mario Kart was so stupid when it first came out. I thought it was a cash grab. I was like, you just made Super Mario World, which is basically Super Mario Brothers 4, and it refined on everything from Mario 3, Mario 3 was awesome too, and you just made Mario 4, and now you're taking Super Mario World characters, stages, etc., and you're turning them into go-kart tracks. I'm like, what the hell, Nintendo? This is so stupid. It's so cringe. It's almost as bad. Well, today we'd call it cringe. It was different back in the early 90s. Like, this is so stupid. It's like, this is such a stupid idea. It's almost as bad as Mario Paint. Guess what? I wound up liking Super Mario Kart and Mario Paint. And then I said nothing about Super Mario All-Stars on the Super Nintendos. Of course, I got my Super Nintendo during the Super Set promo, so it was a bit of a ringer because I was so worried my dad would buy me the cheaper Super Nintendo that didn't come with a game, the control set. I had a friend in school at the time whose mother got her a Super Nintendo, and she got the control set. She had to play freaking Word Tris on the Super Nintendo while all the rest of us were playing Super Mario World. And we're like, this is awesome. This is an upgrade from Mario 3. This is amazing. You know, Super Mario World took the world by storm, and then some of us had a problem believing that Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, was actually a Mario game because you were controlling Yoshi. So, totally different story altogether. What is it with this thing? It's making slurpier noises than usual. Drinks at the ready. Got the more mellow stuff, so maybe it won't tang my throat up too much. I think when I get back to the pomegranate stuff in the pitcher, I'm going to have to dilute that stuff because it's a little too strong. I don't want it to be like squirting lemon juice down your throat or something like that. But anyways, yeah, so my background, of course, I thought Super Mario Kart, I thought was so stupid. It's like, yeah, it's a cash grab. Nintendo's flying high off the success of Super Mario World and Super Mario All-Stars. Then I went over to my friend's house who had the Word Tris system, who wound up getting Super Mario Kart, and I played it, and I liked it. I was humming the music. Whoop. I was going around humming the music. I was like, I can't believe that I like a game that I thought was so freaking stupid, and it was just it was going to be like a gimmick, a one-shot gimmick. It's like, wow, this is actually pretty fun. And of course, we know Nintendo went crazy with all the Mario gimmicks in the Nintendo 64 era. Mario Kart 64, Mario Baseball, Mario Tennis. Like, what games wasn't They're like, Mario pretty much played every freaking sport on the N64. Mario Golf, I have that one, contemporary to the 90s. But anyways, Super Smash Brothers, the whole thing about Logan. I don't think Jay has a background in Smash. Never, ever make assumptions about people because you never know when they're going to completely clean your clock and prove you wrong. I do have a background in Smash, and it's about as dated as my background in Mario Kart. What was the first platform that Smash Brothers was on? N64. I'm turning into a history professor when I'm supposed to be talking about network gear, but oh boy, oh boy. Well, let's just finish this little discussion here. N64, Super Smash Brothers. I thought, again, it was a contrived game. I was like, why are you making a fighting game with Mario characters? You know, isn't that like a ripoff of Mortal Kombat? You know, fighting games like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat are more for like, you know, it's not like for kids or anything. Of course, Mario Party was a thing, and that basically copied a board game. So I was like, a lot of these games, except for Smash Brothers, were rentals for me. I wound up getting Smash Brothers later because it's a late era N64 game. So it was one of those games I picked up when I went to the discount section at Electronics Boutique before GameStop bought them out, of course. Picked it up when I called home for my consoles, bought my TV card so I could hook my consoles up to my computer in my dorm room. So, of course, I was like, let's catch up with N64, the stuff I didn't get to play because I went off to college. So, Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, finally having my own copy of Banjo-Kazooie instead of having to bum it from a friend. So, finally having my copy of Banjo-Kazooie, and, of course, Super Smash Brothers, which I played through and thought it was kind of cool. So, but no, I played Smash Brothers and GoldenEye when they were current games. I was introduced to them, of course. I was in my school. It was a technical high school because the regular high school sucked. I was in an electronics shop. One of the things we did with electronics was fix TVs. And to fix a TV, you needed a video signal to put through it. So we would fix TVs or test TVs as an excuse to bring in a PlayStation or an N64 and play video games in the shop. So we did. Well, there are folks that would sneak in a PlayStation every so often. They'd also sneak in Doom shareware for Windows 95 on floppy disk and install it on the school computers because we're going back to Windows 98 and 95 here, where you could log onto a computer by hitting escape. No security software. Oh, yeah, I'm just testing how this hardware handles blah, blah, blah. This electronics, not the computer shop. Go solder something. But I'm testing this. I'm learning by playing Doom on a school computer. So it was inevitable, of course, people reading GoldenEye, and on days when I think it was mostly like at the end of like semesters or whatever, when we were finished with our work and we were ending the shop cycle, about to go back to class, we couldn't do anything constructive with the remaining time. You would see people bring in N64s and play GoldenEye or something. The other big thing that happened was I was involved in a few not Goodwill, but a few like charity folks, like our chapter of Skills USA actually had a charity drive to support like hungry people and whatnot, people with food insecurity. And one of the things we did was a 25-hour, we called it the 40-hour famine. It was basically it was a weekend event. I think we would do like Friday into Saturday night or something, where we would just stay at the school when everyone went home on Friday, and we would have some big we'd have basically, it was a 40-hour fast to raise money for charity. But it was also kind of a shut-in. It's the one and only time in my life where I ever tried to sleep with just a blanket on the stage of a high school gym. And I'm kind of surprised that I slept really well on such a hard surface like that. But we basically could drink all we wanted. We had like soda and juice and water and stuff, but no food. So I'm kind of surprised that I'm surprised it wasn't as hard as I thought. I mean, I did get hungry a couple of points, but eventually it just kind of subsided and I just had a little less energy because I wasn't eating. But the 40-hour famine, as part of a shut-in, we brought in all the TVs on wheels from all the classrooms, and we hooked up a Nintendo 64 to them and played Smash Brothers. So literally, here's the thing. I mean, in the 90s, in schools, it was total console wars, PS1 versus N64. The N64 was the rinky-dink kiddie console. The storage media sucked. Haha, they still use cartridges, while PlayStation had CDs and could have multiple discs per game. I mean, if you were still doing stuff with Nintendo in the 90s, you were basically a kid that wouldn't grow up. PlayStation was the new thing. PlayStation was going to take over the world, and it kind of did with PlayStation 2. But PlayStation was going to take over the world. It was the future. And if you had a Nintendo 64, it was a kiddie toy. Until you showed up to an event like the 40-hour famine with a Nintendo 64 and you played GoldenEye, or you played Smash Brothers, or you played Mario Party. So you were amazing when you showed up with the party games that made the N64 the success that it was. And even people like PlayStation would suddenly shut up and like you when they got a chance to play Mario Kart 64 or something in 4-player. It's like, yeah, it's just crazy, So yeah, I mean, that was my introduction to Smash Brothers. I played as Link, I think, most of the time. Then I did try some of the other characters, but I thought, here I was thinking it was a gimmick game, but then I wound up wanting it. So, but we're talking like, this is my like senior, it was either my junior, I think it was my senior year. No. I didn't join Skills USA until I was a senior. So it was my last year of high school. So I was going off to college anyway. So getting to check out all these end of the 90s Nintendo 64 games was a short-lived window of fun before that last summer. We rented a few games over the summer because out as far out in the woods as I was, getting a job wasn't all that worth it. It's largely just for the work experience. You wouldn't make a lot of money when you were driving, out of town to go to work because you're so far out in the woods, unless you were lucky enough to snag a job at the campground or something. So, I mean, I rented a few games during that last summer. Rented Pilot Wings 64, mostly racing games too, like California Speed and some others. What was another one too? There was Banjo-Kazooie was a game my friends had that I played a little, but I think we might have rented it once or twice. But yeah, Smash Brothers, I played it when it was contemporary. And then Smash Brothers Melee, when I caught up on my consoles after college and bought a GameCube in 2005, Smash Melee was one of the games that I picked up because I saw it in college. I thought it was cool, but I didn't have a chance to buy any consoles until I got out of school. So I was playing N64 in like 2003. Even though it pretty much died in 2001 with the PlayStation 2 taking over everything. I had some friends with PlayStation 2, so that's how I'm familiar with like GTA 3 and GTA Vice City. In college, though, the focus was on education. So, I mean, it's super expensive. You'd better be focusing on your classes. I don't know how college students do it nowadays with social media and smartphones. I really don't. In the world before social media and smartphones, it was hard to stay focused on your schoolwork and stuff like that. it was hard to stay focused on your schoolwork and stuff along those lines. I can't imagine what it's like now that social media follows you everywhere. And of course we have YouTube and stuff. I've actually been looking for college age YouTubers and Twitch streamers from my alma mater, and I've only found like one or two. So maybe people are finding ways to stay focused on their classes so they don't lose their scholarships. But I can't imagine, I think it's harder to go to college now than it, never mind the effects of the pandemic. I think even without the pandemic, it's probably harder to go to college now than it was in my day. So no YouTube, no social media. MySpace was a fledgling service that nobody knew about yet. Facebook didn't exist yet. And even then, I mean, I was drinking Diet Coke with lemon for caffeine in order to stay awake, because I was basically lived a couple of years of my life burning out my eyes with all the studying to graduate magna cum laude, usually on like 5 hours of sleep a night. And I mean, it's wild like that. But yeah, Smash, I've played it before, but it's mostly N64 for me. I do have the GameCube version I played a couple of times. I picked up Smash Brothers Brawl on the Wii. And of course, with the Wii U playing catch-up, I have Smash for Wii U. And if I were to get, then of course we have the Nintendo Switch dilemma, where I wonder if I should get a Switch now or wait for the next hardware revision. So I'm probably going to skip the Switch unless there's backward compatibility. But this is Nintendo we're talking about. You never know. But see, the big thing with myself playing Nintendo games, it's not just being old and getting old and your reflexes aren't what they used to be. I mean, I still have reflexes. I can tell you right now that I can be very, very jumpy if someone makes a loud noise very close to me, even though I'm 40 now. The difference is there's a whole bunch of reasons why I'm going to suck at video games. It's not just being old and getting rusty. For one thing, for the last decade or so with MMOs and everything, I've been playing a lot of keyboard and mouse games and next to nothing with controllers. If I go back to the Super Nintendo or the N64 controller, I get some muscle memory back from playing that a lot when I was growing up. But I haven't really gotten used to a controller since the N64. I mean, I did have some Logitech Wingman controllers for PC games, and I'm a little used to the PlayStation 2 controller, but and all of its variants that were made over on PC. But the PlayStation 2 controllers and stuff like that were really the last controller that I really got used to. I mean, I had a 360 controller for a couple of years playing PC games, and now, of course, the Xbox One. But I play a mix of keyboard and controller games these days, so the muscle memory just isn't there. And I'll switch controllers to play games like Shovel Knight, so it's really a matter of muscle memory and getting used to the controllers, and I just don't have the time to put in the hours to get good at a lot of these games. Another extremely important technological update for TVs these days, like the new one, which is conveniently blocking everything. Another important thing that's happened in the last 20 years, 25 years, is the development of LCD TVs. They refresh differently than the tubes I grew up on. Most of my hardcore gaming years are on with consoles and being good at Mario Kart were on CRTs. And we know CRTs refresh differently and draw faster than a lot of LCDs do. So today, you know, you have TVs, you got to turn on game mode. This new TV has game mode because the way it works is the TV's video processor slows down how quickly it draws the speed. And so you have a situation where your reaction time is going to get tanked badly if you're playing on a display that's too slow, because you'll be reacting to something on the screen that already happened in game. Now, factor that in with the internet and internet latency, and it's very easy to be terrible at video games because you're playing on a television or something that's not a dedicated gaming display. There is a game mode on this TV, and unlike every other game mode that I've ever used, it actually keeps the colors the same when I turn it on. So when I disable the visual processing on the television to play video games, it looks good. It looks good enough that the TV is basically on game mode all the time now. So I might actually be better and have more of a chance at being good at video games now that I have a TV with a pretty good game mode and relatively recent technology instead of 2008 5-millisecond response time in a day and age contemporary to like 8-millisecond monitors that could be interpolated up to 2 milliseconds, like my old Samsung block monitor from 2006 2005. So, but I don't have a gaming monitor. I don't have one of those 144 hertz super fast, the stuff that gives Twitch its name, because twitchy reflexes is how you play competitive games really well. You need to be able to respond. You need to be able to respond to stuff. So it's not just about being older. It's just that video games fundamentally work differently than they did when I was growing up. So I'm basically the same as a brand new gamer at my age. then that's the thing. And I'm sure it was a thing for my dad too. My dad's video gaming years were during the days of Atari and Pong machines and arcades. So, I mean, he'd be a competitor to me on a joystick, but of course he hasn't touched one in decades. If we play Atari games with joysticks, he might, be competitive to me. But when it was Nintendo and it was D-pad and stuff like that, it was no contest. If we played Super Mario Brothers, where it's not the other player's turn unless you die, he could just grab the popcorn and watch me play. It's just like, well, fortunately by Mario 3, that was fixed. So it would give player 2 an actual turn if player 1 was way better than player 2. So I know what it's like to be the young guy that plays video games a lot and is way better than the old person. But now it's my turn to be the old person, but it's not just because of old age. It's because certain technologies have changed and the circumstances of how I play video games have changed. I use more of a mix of input devices these days. I mean, I remember when I first tried playing keyboard mouse games and I was trying to get used to ASDF, the way people use WASD, so I didn't have to scrunch my fingers together. And I was like, I will never get used to this. I'm running around playing Quake 3 Arena. I'm like, this is so contrived. It's never going to happen. Well, I do that without even thinking now. Use it for my MMOs and everything like that. Hey, before we move on to some other stuff related to this video game stuff, let's just go over the chat here. I did suspect you might have played 64. I guess my mooing was I didn't think you had any real experience playing those same way you have at Mario Kart. My main point, autocorrect. Yay. Okay. Yeah. Work on that mooing there, Logan. Or at least that's what I thought. I used to bring the Wii U to school every now and then. Now ask then. Well, now and then. And W play 8 plower smash on the smart board. And it was pretty sweet. Although limited to composite video because that's all the smart board had. We'd play 8-player smash. Yeah, I know. It's just... But the whole culture of Smash and even esports in general is foreign to my generation. We did all local multiplayer. There would be tournaments, but it would be offline, usually at some game shop, and we were too far out in the woods. Don't forget that video games spent years having a social stigma on them that you weren't a good enough person if you played them. Not the case nowadays, but I mean, in the 90s, we were talking about should Mortal Kombat be censored because the Sega version showed blood. The Super Nintendo version had sweat. This just makes no sense. Oh, you just punched a guy and a bunch of sweat flew out. I mean, was he really super sweaty? So censorship was a thing, but there were politicians on Capitol Hill that wanted... There were politicians on Capitol Hill that wanted to ban video games for being too violent. My stepmother played right into that. Even Zelda 1 on the NES, where the fat guy just has a sword appear for a second, was too violent for me. I wasn't allowed to play Zelda. I rented it a couple of times before... I rented it a couple of times before my stepmother found out that the game had no swords, no violence. Da-da-da. So I played a lot of games over friends' houses where she didn't know. But Ninja Gaiden, Wrath of the Black Manta, G.I. Joe. I played a lot of video games that I wasn't supposed to over sitters' houses and stuff to make up for it. And I didn't turn into a super violent nutcase. My stepmother just filled her head too much with what was on the news in 1993. There's things like, for example, the Janet Reno violent video games probe. If you know about the AVGN's Desert Bus episode and the Desert Bus video game that Penn and Teller were satirizing with, Desert Bus existed because as a response to that political climate at the time where politicians thought that video games were too unrealistic, so Penn and Teller decided to be smartasses and create a game about essentially going to work for 8 hours. You get a single point if you drive a bus for 8 hours. Stuff along those lines. You get a single point for driving a bus for 8 hours. Stuff along those lines. So, yeah. I wasn't allowed. I mean, just to give you an idea too, just how nutty she was about rules. Darkwing Duck and Batman the Animated Series were too violent for me. I wasn't even allowed to watch Darkwing Duck, a Disney cartoon with a Donald Duck inspired character with a gas gun that never worked. Suck gas, evildoers. It's like, I wasn't allowed to watch Darkwing Duck. There was a Simpsons-y inspired cartoon called Family Dog. I wasn't allowed to watch that either. It's like complete rules nut. And this is during the 90s when a lot of Gen X, the younger ones, the grunge inspired, were like, fight the power. I hate my parents. I hate the rules. So I mean, it wasn't enough that I wasn't going to be like those people, because the grunge-inspired folks that I was going to school with were making fun of me every day for being a nerd with some actual self-esteem, who wanted to go to college and do well in life. Half of them didn't believe in jack squat, because some of the people who messed around in high school and made fun of me turned out to go to college and get a good job and make money and have a life. So, guy, I've said it before and I'll say it again, guy I went to school with, he licked fishing worms and flicked them up to the ceiling to stick them in the drop ceiling tiles when the teacher's back was turned. He also, with a particularly oblivious math teacher, snuck over to the whiteboard, took her markers, busted out his cigarette lighter and lit them like candles at his desk, and the teacher didn't notice, snuck him back. She tried to write with the marker and wondered what the issue was. That's stupid. Or how about putting mayonnaise or peanut butter on the class phone, and then someone would sneak an early cell phone into school and call the classroom, so the teacher picked it up and got mayonnaise on their face. It's like these stupid ass pranks, and these people weren't as, anti self-esteem as they looked, picking on me for 4 years straight. They just it was just the trend. You mooched around in a you sulked around in a flannel, listening to Nirvana or Alice in Chains or Tool or Deftones or something like that. You just lurched about how you're going to be a loser for the rest of your life, and you hate your father, and school sucks, and your life's going to be terrible. Life sucks, then you die. No fear, no rules. You just went around with all this antagonistic crap. And, anybody who wasn't like that was a dumbass. They sucked. They were a nerd, a suck up, a kiss up, And there was even actually one point, someone actually tried to trick me into eating X-Lax at school, the chocolate stuff. Like, here, try this candy. So it was that. I think they got suspended for that when the principal found out. But it's just, yeah, the 90s were something else altogether. That's why my decade, despite being an older millennial, is the 2000s. Because once I got out of that nonsense and went off to college, where everybody was focused on very different things, like not losing their scholarships and getting jobs at large corporations because they were an accounting major and they wanted to go to PricewaterhouseCoopers or something like that, or Fidelity Investments or some other large financial company with a strong presence in Boston and New York. So you wanted to do all that. Very different environment. It was more of an issue where I was an outcast in college because I didn't want to drink. So I knew some people that spent plenty of money on getting drunk every weekend. I picked up very quickly that there were rich people at the school, and then there was the group of people that weren't rich but wished they were and had rich friends. So they basically signed themselves up for mountains of credit card debt just to keep up with their richer friends. I worry that, for example, with the world trips with Ginny and Yugi, that Yugi's in this position right now where her best friend has way more concurrence than she does and brings in way more money as a streamer. So is she spending too much money on like plane tickets and hotel rooms to try and stay with her friend? But Yugi TV's stream is Yugi TV's responsibility, so we'll leave that up to her. So pick up some more things with chat. Let's see here. Let's see. The only real stigma for gaming I remember was like 8 years ago when Nintendo wasn't treated seriously because they were just for kids and whatnot. The mentality died with the Switch, thankfully. Oh, Nintendo was a kiddie console at the N64. It was a serious console with the Super Nintendo, though. So, but when you look at the comparable hardware in its class, the Super Nintendo was the only time after the NES when Nintendo actually won on hardware. And the Super Nintendo was better than the Genesis. Of course, there was Neo Geo, which was 24-bit, but that was a whole different architecture altogether. Nintendo never had a 32-bit system, so it wasn't relevant until the 64-bit era, or should I say, versus PlayStation when they had a 3D console. It wasn't really relevant, but by N64, because it used cartridges and thus could only really produce Mario games and very limited titles because of the storage media, Nintendo 64 was a kid's toy. I mean, nowadays it's the badass console that you can run over with a car and it still works. But in its day, there was, you were basically a teenager pretending to still be a child if you had an N64. Until your friends, your PlayStation loving friends, of course, would play, Super Mario Kart 64 or something. Only real stigma for gamer was 8 years ago. For my lifetime. The cities do know about the ESRB and a bunch of stuff in the 80s and 90s, folks. Infus Jack Thompson. Yeah. Yeah, I think he got disbarred, thank goodness. Types of PC and actually see the whole post. I can fix these mistakes. YT Mobile cuts off the post after a certain amount of lines with no way to go back. Really? Yeah, well, it's mobile phones. I have fun with that. It's a meme nowadays. But all right, let's talk about the sunglass situation, and then we'll take a jazz break and come back and talk about the network stuff, which is our main topic tonight, because I'm going into network stuff with the next tech video. So, Tifosi Jets, they don't really fit the theme. They're all dark, and this is all dark and blue, and that's really my theme that I'm going for. Maybe some other lights to show a few more colors so I don't get totally smurfed like what I'm doing with the TV. But the issue is, of course, most of what's out there, like these, are polarized. These look nice, but they're polarized, so they black out screen number 2 because of the way it draws the screen. I also have another Dr. Disrespect style pair like these, except I don't want a big logo thing in the middle, so it's like, yeah, well, it doesn't really look like, you can't really read that. It says Terminator on it. So, yeah, I didn't really want a logo. I have a bit of a problem with Tifosi being on this lens, too. But these are both, the thing with these is that these are both polarized. So as polarized sunglasses, they're terrible for PC streams. But if I did IRL, I'd bust these out. I'd get some contact lenses or something, and I'd put these on, or I'd get an over the glass lens for prescription glasses, although I do have transitions. So it would just turn my glasses blue, so it would look more like what I normally do here. The most recent glasses I got, though, are gray and square. Make me look like an old guy. I picked the wrong frames for those. I'm going to go back next time to the ones I've been using since I was 20. Or 2022, actually. The basic Walmart wireframe ones that I've been wearing for years. I thought gray would match. I thought gray wouldn't be an issue because I wore off the paint on my last ones. So there's gold in the middle of the pewter. But I was like, nah. I mean, gray with the gray hair, it makes me look like somebody from the 50s. I'll pass on that. I'll keep them around because they work, but I mostly wear them around the house. I'm not real fond of them. Plus, the doctor can't get the prescription right. It's either things stay a tad fuzzy or it has too much astigmatism and I get vertigo wearing them. Well, yeah, so I'm trying to figure out what to do. I mean, I joked at the beginning of the show about find yourself a pair of cheap sunglasses, that old ZZ Top song. These look nice. They work really well for the whole MultimediaJay thing, but they're polarized, so they black out screen too. These Tifosi Jets are non-polarized, so I can put a few lights in along the bottom to relight the desk, but I can see the screen fine. It's just dark. Putting it on, your eyes get used to it, like if you walk into a dark room, so eventually you kind of forget you're wearing them, which I think is what sunglasses are supposed to do in the first place. But when you're not polarized, you don't really have the option. I mean, these are ambers. I think we can see that if we put this little you could see, the blue, you can see the change in the color tone and stuff like that. Looking through, these are ambers. These technically block blue light. I actually have some glasses on the way tomorrow. I gotta see if they're polarized or not. They have a special kind of lens that's better with glare and stuff like that I think will be a better fit for Geek House dark mode than these. And these, of course, being the successor to these Survival Optics Slasher 2001s, the ones I'm wearing in the profile pic and in many of my older videos. Now, for Geek House light mode, anything else that I do, I think these are a very worthy successor for these. Well, I could just flip these on real quick. The thing I have with these is that they're a little, number one, they're a little scratched because they're old. These are actually brighter. Yeah, these are actually brighter and bluer. So maybe they're fading in their old age, so they're becoming more like regular glasses. The big issue I have with these, that it's silver and black. It doesn't really match that. I'm using darker colors for everything, and it's pretty dated. These are actually from 2001. So let's get back to these. There we go. These are from 2001. So I had to throw out my last pair of non-polarized glasses that looked like this, because even though it was kind of rubbery material like this, it eventually stiffened up and broke on me. So one last stream with those and I had to toss them. Now I'm back to polarized. That's what I'm worried about with these, because these are basically, at this point, they're vintage and they're costume jewelry of sorts. I mean, these do look, I suppose I could get used to wearing these to Fosties and stuff like that. But just to give you an idea, they are from 2001. I wore them at my college radio show back when it was a very similar environment with a broadcasting at night in a dark studio with blue neon lights. But you can see the gold where the Survival Optics logo is. That's not the original color. That's turned yellow, just like plastic yellows over the years. So it's silver, somewhat blue, and gold. Doesn't really fit anything anymore. Even the blue is kind of turning purple. These used to be more blue than they are, but they've kind of faded with time. But if I really want to go back, and these I don't mind if they break, although it'd be cool if they didn't, we can talk about these. See, the 90s was where you really started to see Oakleys becoming more popular for Oakley shades and stuff. These go back to high school for me. If you can imagine me 18 years old, I still got a picture. Maybe I'll put it on the community page or something. They don't really fit anything. I'd have to wear green or something for a green gold look and stuff. No, but these things are, I basically got them. I think I might have bought them at Six Flags, actually. Took a trip to Six Flags or something like that. I took a trip to Six Flags, New England, and wore these all day. They're ambers. They don't darken anything. They're ambers, and they're not polarized. The problem is the color's wrong. I mean, it kind of sticks out and looks like cheap plastic today. But in 1999 into 2000, these are pretty decent. But yeah, I wore these on my last trip to Six Flags, New England, back at the beginning of the millennium. So I got to I actually do. It's in my old photos. One of the things my dad did when he came up here and stopped by for my 40th birthday was give me a lot of old pictures that he was going to throw out otherwise. So I got to sort through a whole bunch of pictures, including stuff in like 70s and 80s scrapbooks, because the scrapbooks have thick cardboard and stuff that you're supposed to glue pictures on, and it just takes up too much space. If I'm going to keep a bunch of old-fashioned pictures around, you know, except for stuff like the baby book and stuff like that, I'm actually going to probably put them in a more contemporary photo album, so that way there can be more pictures per album and it can take up less space. You just got to find one in this day and age of digital photography being a very mature technology that's been a thing for 25 years. Not that far off either. Remember back in my high school days, the Sony Digital Mavica, a huge digital camera that had to be big enough to contain a floppy drive because it used floppy disks as film. My infotech teacher, as we called the computer class teachers back then, we'd be going on a trip. Like there's a really old picture of me kayaking as a senior in high school. I suppose I could put that on my community page if I really wanted to for like a flashback Friday or something, or Twitter. Or Twitter if I really wanted to. It's from 2000, so it's a long time ago now. So yeah, there's a picture and whatnot of, you know, me in sunglasses kayaking and stuff. But these I have a picture from Six Flags New England that I haven't really used for much internet stuff. I could probably put that on there. But yeah, 1999 to 2000 with these. So the sunglass thing's been a thing for me for years because Oakley was a thing in the 90s. Though when I was growing up, when I was a little kid in the 80s, sunglasses basically looked like regular glasses. It was Oakley really that started having this kind of shape and making sunglasses into something special as opposed to regular glasses with like dark lenses or something. I mean, you watch an 80s movie or something like Ferris Bueller's Day Off and you see the guy with flip down lenses and stuff. Well, regular sunglasses kind of look like that too. In the 90s though, Oakley got so popular that there were people calling what they called Folkleys, fake Oakleys, knockoffs that were, or fakes, or flat out fakes that were inspired by this style. And so these kind of, you know, this style in particular kind of ties back to when I was that age. So, but I've kind of gotten away from it as newer styles have come out, but this is a little too robotic looking. It doesn't match. Everything else is blue and black except for this, which is still silver. Even technology is darkened up. Technology has a dark mode too. In the 2000s, you know, you might have been able to get like two-tone keyboards or computer cases. The Silver Bullet's a great example of that. But everything's just black these days. Black and blue. It's like turn your living room into the Death Star. Unless it's Apple products, in which case it's ivory white and like make it look like you live in a freaking hospital. It's just like, you know, Make your home look like an Apple store. Everything's bright, milky white, and everything matches. Maybe there's some LEDs here and there, but you look like, I don't know. Is our future really, Star Wars fashion and stuff like that, where it's light side, dark side like this? I realize there's light mode, dark mode in like apps, websites, all kinds of crap these days. I made my house have a dark mode. I realize there's all this stuff going on here, but is that really what it's boiled down to? That, oh, look, and an artifact from the Empire. It's just like, all right. Is that what it is really boiled down to these days? Who knows? But either way, what do we have for live time? 43 minutes. Before we get back to talking about network stuff, let's go just have a little break and stretch out a little for the big, long discussion about the main topic. Networking is my tech video forbidden fruit. I was going to see if I can refill this with something. All right. Well, this video game stuff's been interesting to talk about. So has the sunglass stuff. What am I going to do? Where am I going to put all these now? Actually, these are all over in the project area. No, these have like no purpose on my channel whatsoever, or me ever wearing them again. They're just too old. It's not just the style either. It's just, if these break, it's kind of like a part of my history breaking. It's not like those glasses that sat in a drawer for years. So let me just say a little something here. When I was in the middle of the last decade, when I was doing vlogs with these things on all the time, I tried something like this, or should I say the ones with the completely enclosed lenses. I tried stuff like this, but it looked weird in light mode, so I switched back. So this is kind of the reverse. These don't exactly fit in dark mode. Looks too much like I've got like I don't want to look like Cyclops from the X-Men. It just looks kind of cyberpunk-ish, and I don't mean the game, I mean the style. So it's just looking for something a little more subtle. Black and blue, baby. Dark mode is dark mode, but those will arrive tomorrow. We'll take them for a spin. All right, let's relax for a bit, stretch out a little, refill drinks, and let's get ready to talk about network equipment, because my network is nerfed right now because this thing is unplugged. We have some stuff to talk about, don't we? Those sudden stop songs really aren't good for interludes like that. When you don't have any time whatsoever to make it a clean transition back to everything unless you stop the playlist with those sorts of things. All right, I got sunglasses galore over here, but we're going to see if we can clear off some room. Let's just throw them over the shoulder. No. I'm a bit more respectable of my stuff than that. Before we get into the discussion about networking, is my tech video forbidden fruit? Bit too much of a gap there. Before we get into the discussion about networking, is my tech video forbidden fruit, I got to mention streaming for a second here. We talked about not grind streaming and stuff like that, and going over and watching all the one viewer streams over on Twitch that get like nobody cares about them, except for maybe a friend or two who already know you from somewhere else. That's the brutal reality of streaming and why I am so cynical of Twitch. Twitch has created this house. I could be a bit of a house of cards, I know, but Twitch has created this toxic culture around streaming that needs to be deconstructed and destroyed, because it's just a lot of the reason why streaming is in the position that it's in is largely due to what Twitch has done to it. Take what I'm doing right now. Now, DJ had the right idea earlier when he talked about, oh, I like this. I can have it in the background, and it's like listening to a radio show. Indeed, that's the point. I mean, I'm a nerd who follows this stuff with like YouTube versus Twitch and streaming versus videos. But one of the reasons why I follow this stuff is to understand how the differences between these cultures affect whether or not, you know, something I do is going to get views, something really, really important. And yeah, okay. Congratulations, DJ, on being in the elite club of the select few people who actually understand the idea of hybrid streaming. There are so many people out there that are so brainwashed by Twitch. They're like, oh, VOD frogs. It's only if I actually like somebody. It's not worth it to watch a stream that is essentially a YouTube video. So, and this is one of the reasons why I'm so supportive of YouTube gaming expanding and becoming something of a serious Twitch competitor, because Twitch needs to be knocked down a peg. You know, they have their internal issues, they have their leadership issues, and then they have their cultural issues with what they've done to the way people pursue streaming as a whole. I mean, I don't think it's fair that I see Logan doing commentaries while playing video games, and the only people that ever tune in, if he's not doing open lobbies in Smash, are people that already know him from YouTube. And I don't think it's fair that I get a bunch of lurkers and people who watch after the fact. Maybe they figured this out, but at the most, a lurker or a spam bot or something, or a second person stops by for like 5 minutes or so. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair that people won't listen to what I have to say because of the way people view streaming culture, especially over on YouTube. Maybe they've seen some chat streamers on YouTube, YouTubers, I should say, doing chat streams, and it's worse than this. They might have like Zoom call gear or something, or using the built-in microphone in the camera, not even attempting to do anything like this. Meanwhile, I got some virtual audio cables that'll send OBS and all the sounds you get that it can do, what you're hearing right now, into Microsoft Teams, Skype, the works. Alfred from Alfred TV had his little weekly chat last night. I could have called in and sounded like I do in these streams. He never let me call in, and I was also busy working on YouTube videos at the time. I don't even know if he even wants me around anymore because we disagreed on the YouTube's dislikes thing. But and I've never seen him in my chat here. So the guy's always trying to get me to go down to Florida and go visit him. So it's like, you know, something doesn't add up with the way you treat people, Alfred. It's like, no, I mean, you're overly enthusiastic about some kind of collab or something. The stream is dying, or maybe it's just me. No, it's just you. Where it's a solid $6,000 and YouTube's not complaining. So it's a good old mobile. Good old mobile. I can even replay that too. It's just you. Where it's a solid $6,000 and YouTube's not complaining. So it's yeah, it's mobile. You're watching on mobile. That's half the problem. But depends on your wireless coverage. Hey, we're talking wireless anyways. Wireless is subject to a lot of real world conditions like interference and signal strength, and your speed will actually scale depending on how good that is. So But when it comes to, streaming in general, it's no fun to watch people who are decent content creators who are basically running on a hamster wheel. They're trying their hardest to put on a good show, not getting viewers, and then they get mixed up with people who aren't even trying and are actually getting concurrence. So I was looking at that earlier, and I'm going to take a look at that, while I'm working on videos. I'm going to go into Twitch, and I'm going to go to the bottoms of categories like ESO and stuff along those lines and look at the differences between somebody who look at what's at the bottom. And I'm thinking, like, these are the people that you're going to get mixed up with. It's the same thing with share buttons on consoles. Yeah, more people can stream nowadays with, like, no camera gameplay streams and stuff. But the problem is, you start thinking when you get that small as a streamer that that's all you're going to get. And so nobody who's actually trying can actually get anywhere. It's just a thing. I mean, the other night I saw a Hachibi karaoke party stream. She just won the award for Best IRL at the Streamer Awards earlier. Then she goes over this party with a bunch of OTK guys, and I'm like, these are all rich streamers who have thousands of concurrents on Twitch. They're all scratching each other's back. It's just a streamer party. Once again, you get to watch the cool kids who get to float on top of everything, and you have absolutely no chance of, in any way, shape, or form, ever being able to meet these people unless you go to TwitchCon or something. Kind of sad. Twitch needs to be held accountable competitively for what it has done to streaming. And this is one of the reasons why I would support YouTube and Facebook, especially YouTube. YouTube actually recently released let's actually fire up React mode for this, and we'll do a reaction, and then we'll get into the networking stuff. Hey, this scene basically gets to evolve as it goes. But YouTube basically let me go to Creator Insider here, MultimediaJay, and let's link it on up. Creator Insider. This is gonna be a very full. Yeah, this is gonna be. Let's actually do all right, Creator Insider. Do we want to do? I think we just want to do React mode to this. Came out March 17th, which was yesterday. It's got 3,000 views. I hope that's the critical mass. But we can do a reaction. We can do a little bit of a reaction to this. Let me just link it up. Web browser. Link it in to sneak peek YouTube live features. Oh, that's too much. Oh, no. It's cropping correctly. So it's got the things turned on as well. 1 minute behind. So yeah. So hit reload. Now hit reload. Oops. Let's just re-at. Well, Control Z. All right. It's Alt that does the cropping. So let's hook this all up for React mode to a full YouTube video in a full screen Firefox window. Yeah, it'll have the UI until it starts playing. But this is the latest Creator Insider, and it's one of the first in a long time that has updates on live. So let's get a little echo here. Playing. But this is the latest Creator Insider, and it's one of the first in a long time that has updates on live. So let's get a little echo here. Playing. But this is the latest Creator Insider, and it's one of the first in a long time that has updates on live. Okay, that's good to go. So we just might have to crank the video. We might have to crank up the video a bit. Yeah, put it all the way up. So this is actually a Creator Insider update on YouTube's streaming features. Keep in mind, YouTube Gaming, since Fwiz left and went off to a crypto company, doesn't really have any direct leadership. There is Neil Mohan, who's kind of a more general vice president, but there's really nobody at the helm of the streaming wing of YouTube right now. There's a bunch of folks running it, but there's really no figurehead as of yet. But let's actually do a bit of a reaction to this. We'll just keep YouTube's notifications on screen in case it tells me to cool it because of Content ID. But YouTube, the YouTube Creator Insider is one of those that normally doesn't. So, but what's interesting is there's actually discussion of a raids feature that is going to become part of YouTube streaming, sometime this year. We already know from Susan Wojcicki that gifted memberships are going to become a thing, which is yet another reason why I need to get that darn membership thing up and running, even if nobody uses it, just so it's there, kind of like my Patreon. So there's another thing for that. Just YouTube is evolving. If you are stuck in the past on YouTube, at this point, you deserve to stay there. YouTube is evolving. There's the threat of Facebook, if they get their act together, taking over everything. Somebody has to be the second competitor in this scene, and it's not going to be Twitch because Twitch is just too damn small. Just saw it last night. Actually, no, just saw it today, which with Jay Streezy in Thailand, trying out some live view gear with a formal like news camera and stuff to do IRL streams with, because he has a tech savvy guy travel with Gus that he's borrowing equipment from. Tried talking about very famous Twitch streamers like XQC to some randos in Thailand, including Western tourists. They've never heard of them. I mean, Twitch is niche. People, how many times have I watched a Twitch streamer, someone walks up to them and they say, "Are you a YouTuber?" Because it's assumed if you're walking around with some kind of camera, despite all the live stream stuff that has matured in the last couple of years, especially since 2020, you are still assumed to be a YouTuber. Anyways, we got some stuff from Streams Potential with this reaction to this video. Let's go.
Hello, Insiders. My name is Catherine, and I'm a product manager working on live features at YouTube.
Hi, Catherine.
Today, I wanted to give you a sneak peek into some of the features we're building in 2022. First up, let's talk about a small pilot we're running called Go Live Together, a new mobile collaborative streaming feature.
This was it. Gotta stop freeze framing these poor people. Yeah, Go Live Together. That's a feature that was announced in the plans for the year. Susan Wojcicki, I believe, was involved with that blog post. It also is in the same area as the announcement for what's going on with gifted memberships. Now, yeah, stop freeze framing these people.
With this new feature, you'll be able to invite a guest to your live stream by simply sending a link. The host creator will be able to create a live stream, invite and screen their guests before going live to their viewers. Note that the guest channel and user information will remain hidden during the live stream. As the host of a Go Live Together stream, you'll be able to see streaming analytics in YouTube Analytics as you would with any other live stream. But as the guest, you won't be able to see these analytics. Pre-roll and mid-roll ads can appear in a Go Live Together stream and will be attributed to the host's channel. This has been a highly requested feature. After testing, we'll look to expand the number of creators who have access based on the feedback.
I can't get the right. That looks good. That kind of looks kind of like a selfie. I mean, there we go. A smile. Perfect. That looks much better. Go Live Together. Here's the thing with here's the issue with Go Live Together, though. Go Live Together is going to be an acid test of YouTube's commitment to individual accountability in live streams. The big red box is in my chat at the very top. Make sure you guard your privacy and abide by our community guidelines and the support literature for YouTube. The heck? Oh, that's a truncated preview. I was like, what's this thing flapping in the corner? I'm like, oh, it's my hand. I can't see it because the way I have my screen 2 set up. So I can't see the preview. I can see it in OBS, but not on YouTube. I'm looking at system messages for warnings and disconnections. So here's the thing with Go Live Together. One of the massive differences between Twitch and YouTube for streaming is Twitch has this terrible habit of holding streamers accountable for stuff they can't control through their own TOS. You're responsible for what you broadcast, including stuff you have no control over, like stupid stuff that other people do that you can only react to. You know, it's really hard to be proactive against it. Like that person on Twitch that got banned for violent content because some rando punched them on the street and it was considered violence and they got banned for it. So the big one is chat. The streamer is responsible for moderating their chat on Twitch. On YouTube, individuals are responsible for what they post. Major, major, major difference. So with this Go Live Together, if one of your guests breaks TOS, it needs to fall on the guest and not the streamer. Of course, it'd be good if the streamer cut them off for breaking TOS and shut their camera off and kicked them out of the stream. But fundamentally, if someone breaks community guidelines in a Go Live Together stream, the guilty party needs to be the one getting the strike, not the streamer hosting it. This is a huge cultural difference between YouTube and Twitch, and quite frankly, one of the reasons why I'm even streaming over here. So if I get some racist in my chat and I don't, catch the hateful messages in it for a couple of minutes because I'm focusing on a game, and then I ban them afterwards. I want to make sure they're the ones that are held accountable for what they spammed my chat with. So, as opposed to, and I've got the picture, I've shown it on Twitter numerous times. You can report someone on Twitch for so-and-so isn't moderating their chat. I used Bob Ross as the example for that. So that is the test as to whether this feature is ever going to have any real, that's the test as to whether or not this feature is going to maintain the important cultural distinction between YouTube and Twitch as streaming platforms. YouTube keeps it professional and it's more corporate, but that's not all downs. There's some ups as well. If you're inspired as a creator to keep things professional, you'll jive better with YouTube and their robots as opposed to Twitch. So, but that's a totally different discussion.
The second feature we want to highlight is called Live Rings.
This is already on mobile. I want to know when it's going to desktop.
These live rings will help viewers identify when a channel is live by adding a ring around a channel's profile picture to increase discovery and viewership for creators' live streams on YouTube. Tapping on a profile picture with the live badge ring will redirect the viewer to the active live stream.
Is that how you came here, Logan? Did I have a big red circle that said live? Hey, it's King Europe. Hey, what's going on? Yeah, a little bit EU friendly on this, just going over a few things. And then our main topic tonight is going to be about technical stuff with networking equipment. It's just there's a lot of stuff that's been going on. We've already taken one break so far, but there's a lot of stuff that's going on. And I'm doing a reaction to this Creator Insider video about how YouTube's going to roll out new features for streaming this year, over and above and beyond what the Susan Wojcicki blog entry from the start of the year that mentioned gifted memberships as well as live rings. Or I think it might have been 2 updates. But the important thing with this live updates thing, stop freeze framing or like that. The important thing with this live updates thing is that it's basically Twitch in reverse. On Twitch, primarily the focus is on live. So you'll see, you'll see this, but you click the box to go to literally everything else on just a standard notification. So, what's this? Hashtag da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh yeah, red circle gang because it's red circle. Is that something else though that's inappropriate? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. There's big circle gang. Something over in China, but I don't know. Let's see here. Oh, Wikipedia. It's something from Star Wars, too. Yeah. Well, this will be interesting. I know that Live Ring already has an issue. I subscribe to UK TV channel. They upload clips, but they have a constant stream of their channel. It kind of breaks for them. I guess that's niche. So the thing is, though, over on Twitch, this runs the other way. You click the thing with the circle that says live to go to everything else but the live stream. This is backwards. You'll be watching something else. Oh, they're live. Or you'll be looking at stuff on your front page and the profile pic will be circled. You click that to go directly to the stream. That's something I couldn't help but thinking of, is that this is basically Twitch in reverse. I don't know. I suppose Red Circle Gang kind of rhymes with Red Solo Cup.
Redirect the viewer to the active live stream. Live rings can be seen on certain screens on mobile devices, with plans to extend this feature across YouTube later this year. The third feature in the works for creators is called cross-channel live redirects.
This is the main one. This is the raid feature. This is what's missing in terms of the community side of YouTube streaming. This is the big thing. I mean, you see this over on Twitch with Elder Scrolls Online as well. Elder Scrolls Online, a lot of the reason why a lot of those streamers have views is because they got noticed by somebody else and they got raided. So it's more of a tight-knit community than many, many games out there, including other MMOs. So, I mean, there's people that are finding their way into the ESO stream team that have like 10 concurrents as a Twitch affiliate. So there's a whole range of streamers with a whole range of concurrents. And to some extent, I wonder if Twitch has a problem with maybe being suspicious of all of this, because sometimes it seems like a big chunk of Elder Scrolls Online streamers over on YouTube are basically, or over on Twitch, are sharing the same audience. There is no such thing on YouTube. Let me actually pop open the directory right now, which will actually appear over the top of the screen if I click to it. Here is ESO right now. Angry Turtle Gaming with 9 concurrents, Smokin' 420 with a bunch of special characters with 4 concurrents. So 10, 11, 12, 13 total viewers. Then there's this to nobody, and then there's this to nobody. Back up. Oh, what the? I gotta.
Hello, insiders. My
Well,
name
thanks
is
to
Catherine,
chapters,
and I'm a
I can
product
advance
manager
to bam.
the third feature in the works.
So yeah, cross-channel live redirects. That's the raids feature. But 2 years ago in the summer, I still have the stuff from streams on that. 2 years ago in the summer, we saw the signs of raids. And it might be a YouTube clip as well. Actually, hold on a second. Let me actually just, without leaving the video, go to my own dashboard. Where is one of my profiles, or just go to MultimediaJay in general. Oops, something went wrong. Yeah, I got the service dog here. My clips. I actually have that from 2020. Let me dig that up and cue that sucker up. Let's see. Content-led discovery just has different thumbnail. Here we go. Come on, load. Oh, okay. It's loading the clip, but without actually playing it. So let's see what react mode looks like. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. So this is from July of 2020. This is a YouTube clip, which, by the way, I highly recommend that you folks make use of clips for important stuff in videos, because you have a side panel on your dashboard if you want to reference them later. But it's also good for like queuing things. They also work off platform too on Discord and Twitter. And so if you're having conversations about YouTube videos, you can clip straight to the YouTube video as a cue point, or up to a minute long, instead of having to have people, do the other stuff. And instead of having people watch like a huge video or even a stream replay. I think clips, YouTube needs to mature clips a little more so they can be more of a thing inside YouTube itself instead of on other platforms. But when they do, it's going to be really, really useful. But here is from a discussion in July of 2020 when I was like, this sounds like raids. Here is basically it. Here's where they gave a tease 2 years ago almost that this kind of feature was coming to YouTube streaming.
One of our goals is to really help streamers get started on YouTube. So we want to make sure that when they actually come to studio or to the live control room, they have a very smooth on-ramp and the ability to go live with minimal friction. Then the other challenge that we have is making sure that as these creators are getting started, we help connect them with viewers that might be interested in their content. Another area that we're actually looking at very seriously is what we call creator-led discovery. This is where creators introduce...
Why is that so loud? I thought the compressor would drop it down into the yellows, but I was peaking there for a second.
...other creators to their community and recommend them. So we've seen many examples of features like this in the live ecosystem, and we think that there is an opportunity for us to actually support these upcoming creators by adding some of these features to our platform.
We've seen a lot of examples of these in the live ecosystem. Like where? Twitch? That's half of what makes Twitch into like the community focused thing that it is in certain game areas with certain categories on Twitch. It's like everybody knows everybody in the streamosphere for like Elder Scrolls Online and stuff. But I remember when raids were used primarily for like off-platform harassment, where a bunch of people would would band together on some website and then go mess up someone's Twitch stream. But it became a more legitimate feature as the 2010s rolled on. And nowadays, I'd say it's a selling feature of the Twitch ecosystem that, you can be introduced to other creators and their audiences. It's also the reason why Devin Nash isn't a big fan of hosts and raids. He said so in some of his videos. Like, why would you introduce people to your competitors? He's actually poo-pooed the idea of raids. But the truth of the matter is, one of the reasons why Twitch is doing as well as it's doing is because of its... one of the reasons why Twitch is doing as good as it is because they're doing stuff that YouTube used to do. YouTube in its early days was basically a form of social media. You made videos instead of posting like MySpace updates or something. So, and creators on YouTube weren't so stuck up and ignoring each other. There were communities, there were scenes you could join, communities. You could get recognized by people of all sizes. You could have somebody, you could be a nobody with no viewers, like I was at the time, and get recognized by somebody who had made the front page of YouTube and had hundreds of thousands of subs. This corporate stuff and this stuck up stuff that you see nowadays, where there's like Hollywood 2.0 among big streamers and YouTubers, didn't exist yet. And in a way, that's kind of what I represent. You know, the way YouTube used to be when it was more personality driven. Your channels were based on people with interests, sometimes more than one interest, as opposed to the produced brand channel stuff that we see today. But we know how that rolls out if you're true to yourself on YouTube. Back to the discussion about cross-channel live redirects, which is basically raids.
For creators is called cross-channel live redirects. Today, creators with at least 1,000 subscribers can use a feature called live redirect to direct their viewers from a live stream or premiere to another live stream or premiere on their own channel.
And it's nearly useless, because if I release a new YouTube video, I can't live redirect to it because it needs to be waiting to premiere in order for me to do that. So unless I chain streams together, I have no use for live redirect. I would love to be able to, for example, if I reference a YouTube video, even a published one, be able to send the audience off to that video after my stream. That's really what but live redirect is too focused on live. That's a biggie. You know, live redirect, I should be like, if I'm talking about, for example, say at the beginning of next month, I'm like, the Delosaurus videos are now 10 years old. I should be able to send my audience off to a Delosaurus video that's been on my channel for years. So they can see what I'm talking about instead of having to do a reaction to my own stuff. But that's not how live redirect works. If I have a new video, like the latest tech video, I can't send stream audiences over to it if they haven't checked it out yet to save them the trouble. It has to be a premiere waiting to premiere. A little too isolated from the rest of YouTube. Now let's check out the rest of this feature.
But they can't send their viewers to live stream or premiere hosted on another channel. With this launch, creators with at least 1,000 subscribers and
that's higher than a lot of the other thresholds, around like 500 subs for some of the other features, but maybe it'll get lowered down later, just like things like the community page and other stuff were eventually. Fundamentally, YouTube needs to realize the subscriber metric is useless. People use YouTube as a search engine. Your casual viewers most likely are not going to be subbed, even though subscribing is free. Maybe some of that is because of Twitch culture where a subscription always costs money, but you're not going to try and tell me that a little bitty game streaming, trying to desperately expand somewhere else, streaming site that doesn't even want to grow into a full-fledged omni-media platform. So you're not going to tell me that that little thing is going to affect a Facebook or a YouTube. You know, totally tail wag the dog. No thanks. I don't buy it for a second. No. So the truth of the matter is that YouTube has its own reasons for everything. It doesn't need Twitch for anything. And YouTube has its own reasons with regards to the obsolescence of the subscriber system. There's plenty of traffic that can come to your YouTube videos that won't turn into subscribers because people just need some entertainment. They just need, an answer to a question, So if your channel has a lot of stuff that's not causing people to sub, what do? Are you doomed to never get to do anything? Even if you have like a question and answer channel that you mostly get your traffic from search results? Little bit outdated. Probably about as outdated as YouTube partnership itself being gated as much as it is, and it's the worst of the three major platforms for needing certain progression in order to get monetized. That's a mistake in and of itself too, and we've discussed that plenty of times.
No active community guidelines strikes will be able to direct their viewers to a live stream or premiere hosted on a different channel.
That's another thing that keeps YouTube streaming small, and it's going to keep YouTube streaming small. What's that duck face? It's not working out. I give up. That's the best of the worst here. Yeah, that's another thing too, and that's another thing that keeps YouTube streaming small. There are haters out there and bots and mass flag crews and people that will report you for stupid stuff that want to try and get you a community guideline strike so they disable your ability to stream. So if a bunch of people brigading you can get you booted off of the streaming part of YouTube with a community guidelines strike, YouTube will never be viewed as a serious streaming platform. Never. It's design decisions like that that keep Twitch big. And I'm not talking about people breaking TOS. I'm talking about people taking advantage of YouTube's automated systems to harm creators. And what does YouTube have? Automated systems. Where are a lot of your problems going to come from as a YouTuber? Automated systems and false positives. So if you get kicked off of streaming for a week because of a false positive when you're trying to be a streamer on YouTube, then what? It is stupid little details like this that keep Twitch in the #1 parking spot. This is what keeps Twitch big. Little design choices like this that keep YouTube from being as competitive as Twitch, despite being much bigger.
Be able to direct their viewers to a live stream or premiere hosted on a different channel. The channel being redirected to can add channels they want to allow to redirect to them, or to allow all channels they subscribe to redirect to them.
That's going to kill the feature. That has doomed YouTube's rating feature right there. So what this requires is that if you want to be rated by a larger creator, the larger creator needs to subscribe to you. If there isn't an option to allow all raids, even though it is risky because you might get hate raided. If you don't have the option to allow all raids, and it needs to be that, they can't raid you unless they're sub to you. Now, maybe you get sub. Well, what's going to lead to is any creator that wants to raid you might sub to you and then never watch your videos. So you're going to end up with an inactive subscriber. So, oh, my subs are going up, but it's bots, aggregators, and non-human channels all over again. 10 years ago, I did this discussion. Just shy of it, I think. 2013. There's a problem on YouTube where you gain subscribers, but it doesn't translate into views because there's bots, aggregators, and non-human channels out there. There are channels that are not going to be fans of you, no matter what. There are people that are not, there are subscribers that will not be fans of you. Bots are obviously robots, and we know YouTube struggles with those these days. That's why certain terms are actually banned. That's why certain terms are actually banned in my chat. Even an emoji. The kiss emoji is banned in my chat. It will get your message flagged for review because of all the I love you spammers trying to send, trying to sell like porn sites and stuff. So it's just, I suppose I could not allow links in chat, which is, I think, is a feature that's in there now, and bring back the smiley. But, the I love you spammers and stuff is, yeah. The I love you spammers and things like that. That's part of the problem. They have aggregators where people create a YouTube account because they're running a podcast. So they're never ever going to care about your content, but they're going to sub to you so that their feeds fill up with stuff to maybe react to on a podcast or something. So it doesn't create somebody who's really a fan of your channel. It just creates some podcaster out there that's just going to mooch your content because they can't come up with something on their own. Like if they're just like criticizing other creators or something, or just like, well, let's see what's on YouTube today or something along those lines. It just doesn't translate into a productive audience, a productive fan base that actually supports you and likes you and makes you feel like you're not wasting your time on YouTube. So, but non-human channels, yeah. So now we have a situation where a creator who will never have anything to do with you is going to sub to you so they can raid you, or you can raid them or something. No, that just isn't going to work. That just isn't going to work. This is going to be a highly limited raid feature. It's great that YouTube finally has it, but it will not be as successful as Twitch. So once again, we're back to the same exact statement. Stupid little things like this are what keeps Twitch big. So, where's the leadership at YouTube to notice these design differences? Give YouTubers the option of allowing all raids, so we don't end up with, this thing where certain streamers are now just going to wall themselves off and not take raids anymore or whatever. Yeah, that doesn't help the community aspect of YouTube at all. In some circles it will, but it's already undercutting its potential versus its Twitch counterpart.
Moving on, I want to give a
not moving on just yet. Let's also not forget that individuals are responsible on YouTube for what they do. So in the event of a hate raid where people are they're raiding a random streamer to harass them in the chat, all of them can be held accountable for violations of community guidelines, even though they pollute someone else's chat with a bunch of hate stuff. YouTube has the warning, if they enforce their own policy, that's the way it works. So there really is there shouldn't be any kind of Twitch-based intimidation to allowing people to take raids from anywhere. Because otherwise, hey, big streamer, they want to say hi to me and send their audience over and say hello, they have to sub first. Who's going to want to do that that's already used to Twitch? Moving right along.
Preview of some features beginning to roll out in the coming months. The first feature is what we're calling full screen mode. We've prioritized an uninterrupted view of a live stream by taking a split screen approach with 2 different viewing experiences for your mobile device.
And people are complaining all over the place about that. I've seen the people freaking out about it because they hate it.
In the lean-in video and live chat experience, the live chat engagement panel will sit to the right of the screen, replacing the live chat overlay from the classic view. The lean back or collapsed live chat experience allows for the video to be full screen when watching in landscape mode. The chat is then represented by the viewer count in the lower right-hand corner that when clicked, brings the viewer back into the lean-in mode.
Well, that's cool. This is probably the most promising development yet, because this addresses something that people are complaining about. It says that YouTube doesn't do full screen very, very well. But this is Twitch culture once again polluting the whole discussion. This once again is Twitch culture polluting the entire discussion here, because the need to be involved in chat all the time is part of Twitch. It's part of how Twitch has affected the way people view live streaming. Okay, you feel a need to be in chat. Well, what if you're watching, for example, the thing I made a blog entry about earlier today? I didn't tweet it because I've already embedded it in tweets before. But the relaxing music for cats with the kittens and the purring sounds and the music and stuff, it's a live stream, but do you even give a darn about chat? No, you're watching it for the content. It's part of the thing with differences between YouTube and Twitch. Twitch has a huge emphasis on personalities. Massive. It's about people. But on YouTube, it can actually be about the content. Like, let's say you want to see a part of a video game. You can dig around Twitch forever with their inferior search engine and try and find what you're looking for among all these Twitch streamers trying to build brands for themselves. Or you can find a playthrough on a straight-up gameplay channel and move around in the gameplay to the point that you want to see and get an answer to your question on. So, huge difference. This also, of course, plays into some of the other Twitch-specific things like no self-promotion and stuff that affects other people's discords and crap like that. And it's all stuff that any YouTuber out there should laugh at, because we know it's possible on YouTube. Even if you have people that are self-promoting in your comments or your chat or something, it should be more than possible for you to grow a fan base, because it's not just about when you're live. It's about literally everything. And up to this point, perhaps that's what's driving these changes with YouTube streaming. YouTube streaming is backwards from Twitch. People have to like you as a YouTuber first, and then they'll catch your live streams, as opposed to on Twitch, where they want to watch streamers and they try and pick you from all the others. So the what, then the who, and the who versus the what, yet again. This, however, is some good progress on one of the biggest complaints about watching YouTube streams full screen.
The lean back experience will show a teaser of key moments in chat, like polls, to make sure the viewer doesn't miss anything. We're beginning to roll both of these views out to viewers and should be fully launched by the end of next week. The other upcoming feature that we're looking to launch in the next few months is live Q&A. With live Q&A, a viewer will be able to submit questions during a live stream based on the creator's question prompt. Questions answered by the creator will be temporarily pinned to the top of the live chat and encourage other viewers to submit. Live Q&A is yet another feature in the creator's arsenal to foster a deeper connection with the community. As always, we'd love your feedback while we experiment and develop these features. So leave your questions in the comments below.
Let me see that for a second.
Encourage other viewers to submit questions during a live stream based on the creator's question prompt. Questions answered by the creator will be temporarily pinned to the top of the live chat. Live Q&A, a viewer will be able to submit questions during a live stream based on the creator's question prompt. Questions answered by the creator will be temporarily pinned to the top of the live chat.
So this could be a vehicle for harassment. I hope it requires confirmation by the creator before it pops up to the top. So, you know, that's one of the problems that YouTube has had with super chats, is that people have done like hateful super chats and stuff, and even like code words and dog whistles. It's one of the ways that, for example, channels that play fast and loose with the TOS have been trying to bend but not break the TOS. So I'm not so sure about that. It looks like the full screen thing is the most promising update out of all of this. Yeah, either way.
And encourage other viewers to submit.
Nice call to
Live
action.
Q&A is yet another feature in the creator's arsenal to foster a deeper connection with the community. As always, we'd love your feedback while we experiment and develop these features. So leave your questions.
Let's see what's in the comments here. Nick Nimmin, of course, is all ecstatic because he gets to make videos about it. See here, it's nice to know that there's something on YouTube besides YouTube Shorts. Indeed. Yeah. Well, it was TikTok that was the tail that wagged the dog when it came to YouTube. So it's just the bigger thing that YouTube needed to catch up on was not streaming, it's Shorts. So totally different story altogether with that kind of stuff. But YouTube Shorts definitely. Thing is, though, if you're an established YouTuber, it can be hard to find a niche for your shorts. Plus, if you had an experience like I did where it seemed like the algorithms turned you on and then turned you off, why would you even want to make any YouTube Shorts in the first place? So that's the thing. I mean, I saw views on some of my early YouTube Shorts that were actually in line with what I used to get 5-6 years ago, and then it got completely shut off and died. I even sent something to Team YouTube on Twitter and never got a response. So no, it just, again, going back to the real basics here, YouTube needs to have an environment where you don't feel like you're wasting your time. This will be a stuff from streams. Let's get up and stretch again, and let's talk network equipment when we get back. There are no other topics that we can really talk about as far as recap topics go. Add to the list of things I need to do with Project EVTO. This rug is done. It is ruining me. I don't even have coasters on this. I don't even have casters on this chair anymore. It's wheels. And even then, it's just hard to get this thing to stop in the right spot because the part of the rug that's up against the computer desk is completely shot. It's like wheeling a chair around on like a sweater or something. Whatever. Drink to that. So, anyways, that I talk stuff from streams on here. One of the things that I do with stuff from streams is stuff that maybe the target audience won't be interested in the other stuff. So I'm going to make a stuff from streams from that discussion about that YouTube video, that reaction, and maybe post it in the comments on as a response to that, like an old-fashioned video response. It got me thinking, though, in today's culture of Twitch-influenced, Reddit-influenced, no self-promotion, it might actually be frowned upon these days, even though video responses used to be a standard feature on YouTube. Boy, if that is not some kind of indictment of today's culture when it comes to content creation, I don't know what is. But no self-promotion. I'm actually thinking of making like a documentary style video about some of these edgier topics related to content creation to really talk about how, you know, Twitch has poisoned content creation as a whole in terms of how people think about videos and streams. All right. Excuse me. So, networking is my tech video forbidden fruit. We're an hour and a half into the stream, which is basically the length of what a lot of them have been. But I committed to talking about this, so we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it very significantly. This will be the longest stream that I've done in a very long time because I haven't had much to talk about. Obviously, today that I did. And here I was thinking that I was running out of stuff to talk about here. But, there we go. Yep, go, yep, leave. That's right. It's sad. It really is, because this is exactly what I thought was going to happen. Logan's probably still here, but yeah, So, yeah, tech video nonsense as usual. And it's really, really sad. Really, it is. So, one of the reasons why I didn't stream last night is because I was kind of just giving my network a chance to see if it would be stable enough to support everything. This is my main router. It's a Netgear N router, has gigabit ports on the back. Gigabit ports, it's one of those stand-up things. It's about the size of a net top these days. So you could actually make a functioning computer that's roughly this size. So, and the thing is, when it comes to technology, folks, it's time to grow up. Seriously. It's time to grow up. Here's what happened and why we're in this position. This is going to be one of those things where I stream about everything I can think of off the top of my head theory-wise, and then I go do it with the tech video, and it's going to be me just getting stuff done so it can be more to the point. Whatever we're going to have conversations about and talk about, we're going to do here. And whatever tangents I'm going to go off on, like I've done for the last hour and a half, we're going to do here. So here's the situation. Not last night, but the night before, getting my days mixed up, was an ISP maintenance night. Those happen like every couple of months where the network goes down at like 1, 2 in the morning. So the ISP does work with businesses and stuff. So the number one problem that I have with this ISP, as much as they invest in technology and they actually have speed improvements and stuff, despite being an underdog like the rest of the ISPs around here, one of the biggest problems I have with these people is they never, ever, 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 ever announce their maintenances. Never. I find out about them after the fact when the network goes down, and maybe I switch to a data plan on a phone or something, which I don't have a lot of times because I don't need data for anything. Or maybe part of the network comes back up and Facebook starts working again, and I can see, there was out. Or I call the customer service line, which costs me money because of my prepaid phone plan. $2 for the first call every single day, and then you have unlimited talk and text for 24 hours afterwards. The now deprecated AT&T $2 a day plan, which was great for only paying $25 every 3 months for phone service, the least expensive phone service by far. Now I'm tempted to change carriers because there's no point in staying with AT&T anymore. They don't offer value versus Verizon or somewhere else. By the way, Verizon's more robust here in New England than AT&T. AT&T is the household name that more people know around the country, but here in New England, it is very much Verizon territory. So, but here's the thing. The network went down, and I thought that this router had flaked out. It's got a couple of years on it. It's running DDWRT. So I'm in here trying to see what happened, and I'm getting like DNS issues and stuff like that because the ISP's DNS server was down. And I changed stuff on here trying to fix the DNS issue, and there wasn't one. So now I have the settings wrong on this router. So I pulled it. I have one of those gotcha routers, the Asus one that I had in a video like a year or two ago, with the 802.11n up to 300 megabits per second, but the ports were 10100, including the WAN port. So I'm currently nerfed because I have 200 down, but can't get more than 100 of it, even on wired. So the power line part of the network, because I don't want to have a spaghetti cable going across the house, the power line part of the network only does up to 150, and it's at its hardware limit. And I've upgraded those over the last 2 years, but power line is just not going to have speed. It's going to have stability. It's wired, and it works really well in terms of stability for streaming, and the stream's not effing and stuff like that. But it only has stability. It doesn't have speed. And the cheapo package at $80 a month in my neck of the woods is now 200 megabits down. So because of the tech advances in this area, unless I want to go back to Frontier with their woefully obsolete, zero investment AT&T Uverse technology that they're running into the ground, and you pay $80 a month for 18.1 versus $80 a month for 220, or I could pay 60, 70 a month, whatever it is, for 110. I'm just keeping the 20 up right now so I can stream video games at the NVIDIA recommended 12 megabits for NVENC. It's higher than YouTube's maximum, but NVIDIA actually has a series of specifications for live streaming with RTX cards. And so at 1080p, they recommend 12 grand, even though YouTube only wants live grand for 9 grand for 1080p. The ingest supports up to 51 grand for 4K, so it's not a technical issue on YouTube's part. On Twitch, though, it's 1080 tops. But, so we're in this position. And so, before all this happened, though, I've gotten enough smart devices with Geek House Dark Mode that I have like 25 devices going to a consumer router. 25 devices into a consumer router. Not a good combination. With the release of Wi-Fi 6, 802.11ax from 802.11ac, the improvement was not in the speed. The improvement was in the stability, being able to have more devices into a piece of network equipment at the consumer level. At the B2B level, with professional IT and stuff, this has already been beefy for years, and, load calculations and what's on what access points and whatnot, and what the failover plan was and stuff like that. That's been a thing in IT for many, many years. But now I got to look at it from the consumer side of things because I hate throwing things out. Got a couple of devices over here. This is my main Netgear router, which is 802.11n. I got this back from my dad, a WRT54G, which can run third-party firmware. Might even still be running Tomato, actually, which was discontinued, which hasn't been updated since 2011. So that's due to come off of this. This is a G router, so it'd be the slowest of the bunch if I put it on like a legacy thing with the SSID that I use for wireless here. However, one of the things I'm looking to do is I'm looking to roll out hybrid connectivity for my desktops so I can get more of the speed that I'm paying for. So I want to be able to basically have my desktops operate like laptops, where I flip between wired and wireless. When streaming, I'll have rock solid wired stuff, but limited to 150 megabits per second in either direction. But when not streaming, when I want to have big downloads of Steam games and stuff, switch off to wireless if it's not too flaky, and get more of the speed that I'm paying for. So faster, but might have stability issues because it's wireless. So there's the technology out there to do that these days with Wi-Fi 6 and 802.11ac. I just got to see how high I can get the numbers to go. And that means not crowding the router with lots of devices that it has to maintain connections to. So the plan is to set up a dedicated subnet for devices that would need the speed, like the desktop. Maybe the phones, but I'll use the phones as a service tool, and they can flip networks and go on with the smart devices. And then shunt all the smart devices and all the stupid devices that don't really need, well, smart devices, stupid devices, same difference, shunt all the appliancey devices over onto their own part of the network, firewall it off from the computers so they can't be used as a vector of attack. And basically, how much speed do I really need for voice controlled lights that only do stuff when they're responding to Google commands and stuff, or Alexa commands? Wait for everyone's speakers to turn off. I should say Amazon speaker commands. How much bandwidth do I really need on appliance devices that just need a connection? That's why I'm tossing around the idea of bringing back this G router. It will have stuff connecting to it if it's the closest or whatever. It'll be slower than the ends that I'm using, but that's where we get into the point where it doesn't matter if it has 100 ports on the back, because the idea is set up a wireless for the appliance wireless, so to speak, for stuff that just needs a connection. And then for performance, put them on the one that I'm only limiting to specific devices that benefit from the extra speed. Then we got to figure out the signals, the channels, the interference, and all that other stuff, and things along those lines. So here I was trying to do, essentially spec out computer hardware for one of my colleagues. And this happened, and now my main router's knocked offline. I don't know. The thing is, I could fix the settings on this running DDWRT. I can go back to stock firmware to see what to see what Netgear is doing these days. But I've been hearing about newer Netgear routers having DRM on them, so I'm not so sure about that. Or if it supports it, I'd like to try OpenWRT on this and see if I can get some kind of a nice little setup that gets more updates than what DDWRT gets. And we'll see how that goes. Bottom line is, I got to figure out what devices I want to use for what parts of the network. And then way over here, I have my final gateway from Frontier before I left their service. It has network ports, it has a telephone port, it has a cable port, it has a service port. But this thing has a router as part of what it does as a gateway, and it even has a battery backup. So I gotta figure out what link speed are these things at? What can I use it for? Can I flash a third-party firmware? But the thing is, Frontier doesn't rent their equipment. They sell it to you. When your modem dies as a Frontier customer, you pay like $75 or whatever the fee is, and they essentially sell you a brand new internet connection kit that they would normally send to their customers. I think there might be like one service tech that'll have like a van with stuff to start you with, but you're not renting from them, you're buying from them. Maybe it's changed in the past couple of years since I got rid of them in 2020. But this was not something I rented. It was something I purchased. I had to pay like $75 for a new customer kit that included one of these when my modem died, and then they or when my gateway died, and they reprovisioned it. But they weren't renting equipment. They sold this to me. As a matter of fact, when I went to replace the one that wasn't working right and get this one, the technician was like, "Well, do you need a router for anything? Because we're not taking those back anymore." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So this is actually equipment they sell to you. So I don't know if I might use that if I went back to Frontier, but why would I go back to Frontier? They're not investing in their stuff. They're not a competitor to cable around here. They have an old AT&T Uverse system, which sucked, by the way, compared to Verizon Fios, because it's fiber to the neighborhood instead of fiber to the home. So the potential of the technology was very inferior. It was the infamous lawn refrigerators of AT&T. And then in the northern towns, the AT&T would put them in the wrong spot back when they still did wireline, and a snowplow could take them out and throw a whole neighborhood offline. It's just sucked. Absolutely sucked. It was the last desperate gasps of DSL. Yeah, sure, VDSL instead of ADSL, but it was the last desperate gasps of DSL technology to try and stay relevant in any way, shape, or form, even as DOCSIS 4 is getting worked on. That's going to introduce synchronous connections to coax. So coax can compete more with fiber these days. That's telecom technology in America. So, but you know what's interesting, and this is why I'm a little jaded about this. This router is basically a computer. It has a processor, it has RAM, It has an operating system based on Linux. It boots, it reboots, and stuff plugs into it. Just like, you know, if you have cat jacks on your computer or HDMI or something. You know, it doesn't have a display, but you can remote into it and get the same thing to modify settings on it. This thing, and all routers, I should say, are basically little computers. Here's the thing. This one specifically I have, because this also looks like something else. This Netgear is the same size as a NetTop. This router is the same size as a NetTop. A NetTop is a type of computer these days. You can put a processor on a small motherboard, low power, passive cooling, and get some horsepower out of it that can run a desktop environment, even with passive cooling. Put an SSD in it for storage and some laptop RAM for RAM. You have a computer the size of a hardcover book. There are HTPCs that were being sold in this form factor years ago. Now you can buy regular computers and run it that way. So, yes, it's an appliance, but what these appliances, just like their smartphone cousins, represent. I actually do have a phone here. I'm being less of an older millennial today. Why don't we just put that in? What these represent and what smartphones represent is the evolution of computers away from the PC. And the ugly truth that in today's world, your ability to build a gaming PC does not give you credibility in technology anymore. Not in, say, not in the corporate world. This week I was on the phone with the hiring manager for the very well-paying IT position I'm going for, trying to prove that I have the background that I have to do this stuff. Well, this discussion is how I prove it even further, because I actually understand the other side of IT besides consumer IT. I understand budgeting, costs, total cost of ownership, even though people have hated me in YouTube comments for focusing on power efficiency in my computers, even though that's one of the big ways computers have improved recently. You know? Tuxedo, AMD, Phenom 2 1090T, couldn't go below 100 watts, except if next to nothing was happening on it. Intel Sandy Bridge could go way below 100 watts when doing light-duty work. So, that's part of it. The NetTop equivalence of this router, like 5 to 10 watts. That's a low TDP mobile CPU. Delivering, and actually it's on my, let me actually look at, can I get at my, I don't know if I'm signed in. My user benchmark. I actually snuck over to user benchmark on this. How about user benchmark MultimediaJay? I actually do have a test. Yep, User benchmark home. I do have the, don't I have the link somewhere in here? USA user. I could always just sign in. This is what, Firefox? Yeah, it's Firefox. I don't have the password on here though. Let's see. MultimediaJay. Nah, it's not doing it. Shoot. Twitter.com/MultimediaJay. Let me actually take a look at my own Twitter. Sign into Twitter with Google. No thanks. New to Twitter? Sign in. No thanks. So I don't use this for this. Sign in is Jay. No thanks. I'm here for one. Let's go to Chrome. I'm sick of this thing. Like, sign in, sign in, sign in. No, I just need a quick answer. Twitter. Bam. Back to Chrome. It's still full size when I was showing tweets on the screen. Click Control-0, please. Get me back to my default size. Thank you very much. Now, let's see. User benchmark. From, MultimediaJay. Did I ever put the, no results, latest. Interesting. I guess I've never tweeted about it, so I guess I should put something in for that. Or I should add it to my link tree. Do I have that there yet? No, not yet, but I will add it in. Because when the 9-to-5ers rolled out the NetTops, these things-ish, when the 9-to-5ers rolled out NetTops to replace the aging Sandy Bridge era desktops, I ran user benchmark and was quite surprised by the results. We'll put it in Twitter or something later and definitely add it to the link tree. It's just locked to my main account on my main browser. Although, if I really wanted to, we could do everything through the phone. Let me go see something here. Oh, I'm still on the router thing on this phone. I have Chrome here that has all my accounts and stuff on it. So let me actually go to user benchmark and actually look it up. User benchmark MultimediaJay. There we go. Actually, I could go into my Chrome bookmarks on this. Why don't we just do that? Where are my bookmarks? Because it's in under my social media. Social media, MultimediaJay. Where is it? MultimediaJay's user profile and user benchmark. There we go. We'll actually post this over so we can put it on screen. But actually, let me see what this was here. It would be like a Core i. It would probably be a Core i5, Core 2 Quad, C60, Core i5 8600T. It's 2 years ago. Holy crap. Desktop Coffee Lake. Desktop Coffee Lake. Can I grab the link? It keeps popping a menu every time I open this stupid thing. Gaming was a tree trunk. Desktop was 77%, and it was a battleship. It was I can type that in and get the specs. Lenovo, it was a Lenovo 10RR S37500, sporting a Core i5 U series. It was a T series. Core i5 8600T, which was the main source of performance in the entire system. Let's look that up. Let's punch that into Twitter, or punch that into Google. Core i5, and remember, this is in something with passive cooling, 8600T. It's an 8th gen core, so it's probably even better these days. The Intel Arc has the answer on this one. 8th generation Intel Core i5, products formerly Coffee Lake, discontinued, of course, circa 2018. 14 nanometer technology, 6 core, 6 thread, 3.7 gigahertz max turbo, 2.3 gigahertz standard, 35 watt TDP, could be configured to run in low power mode and cap out at 25 watts. And yet it had enough CPU to comfortably run a desktop. Could even support like a 4K display. Something this size. Yeah, it's an appliance. It's probably not upgradable. But in the world of corporate IT, there's more to the story than what you have in your box. And this is why I'm saying what I'm saying. If you, up to this point, your tech experience is you building computers, it no longer gives you any credibility if you want to get jobs with this stuff outside of course, computer stores. Or if you want to be a YouTuber trying to be the next Paul's Hardware or something. The corporate world goes in a very, very different direction. So, okay, you spend $1,500 on an incredible gaming PC, right? You spend $1,500 on an incredible gaming PC. Now multiply that by like 40 workstations in say a work site for installing computers for someplace like a school or a corporate site or something like that. And most of what people are going to do if they're working and not playing games on the job is spreadsheets. And then factor in the impossibility of finding graphics cards these days. Do you really want everybody having an RTX whatever? So in corporate America, it's not about the hardware other than does it meet the needs of what we're going to use it for. It's about costs and other businessy type stuff. Your average person working a desk with one of these, except the computer version of one of these, is just going to want to be able to do email, spreadsheets, maybe some remote training, maybe a little bit of Intel QuickSync hardware accelerated multimedia type stuff. But for the most part, you're looking at a little box like this with enough horsepower to do that in a 25 watt processor, which when in a 25 watt processor, which when I checked, that's 25 watts max. When I popped open, when I snuck some core temp over and checked the core temp numbers, it was sipping like 5 watts when it wasn't running full blast. So a full blast processor in a computer this size, 25 watts. That's like a laptop. It's just not powering a screen. And so that's why I say you need to grow up if you want to be a tech person. You need to get your head out of the computers. Computers are fun. They have their own, it's fun to build a system. It's fun to know what hardware does what and what's compatible with what. But it's in its own bubble these days, in this day and age of appliances like this. So my next tech video and what I'm doing for the foreseeable future is going to be network gear. So am I going to lose all the views now because I'm not tinkering with computers all the time? That's a pattern, actually. It's a total crapshoot these days when I make tech videos. It really is, because I have to wonder if whatever I make is going to lead to a bunch of people sticking their nose in the air because I'm not tinkering with the Delosaurus for the umpteenth time, when Delosaurus stuff has been a thing for 10 years now. So I really have to wonder about that. It is absolutely something I need to be concerned about. Do I want to, I don't want to feel like I'm wasting my time on YouTube. Now, what's interesting, if I actually pop open the numbers, one of the things you have to do as a content creator is base everything on data, not on people's anecdotal opinions. Because there's so many people out there watching your stuff that'll never say a thing to you. It's not just lurkers in a stream chat. It's just people watching YouTube casually on their phones. Or maybe you popped up in the search traffic. They might never sub to you. They may never do anything to you. Project EVTO in the beginning cracked 80 views after 3 days. Couldn't even crack 100. YouTubing versus the Delosaurus squad is heading towards 50 views, but it hasn't hit a prime time yet. That's technically a Delosaurus video. Delosaurus Rex, Nerdovo, and the Turd Shiba. I mean, I am specking out YouTubing for somebody who wanted to know what they had to buy to start a YouTube channel, but that is a computer tinkering video. Delosaurus Rex, Nerdovo, and the Turd Shiba, and is off to an absolutely sluggish start for one of those videos. It's second place in its first 13 hours. So, second place in its first 13 hours as a video on YouTube. It's not even in first place, and it's a computer video. I talked earlier about, tech video people and the problems they have nowadays, but I know it's not just tech video people. Take the angry video game nerd, for example. The AVGN, James Rolfe, 40-something these days, middle-aged, receding hairline, has a wife and kids, gets brutally treated by his own audience on YouTube these days. Like, what a bunch of self-entitled jackasses. It's not the same. It's not the same. AVGN's not the same. People were saying that the angry video game nerd jumped the shark back in 2007. Never mind 2022. He was 20-something years old, barely out of college, when the nerd took off. He's a middle-aged guy with a wife and kids now, adult responsibilities, and he's still trying to be a film guy and not just be pigeonholed into AVGN for the rest of his life. But YouTube people these days, seriously, YouTube is on everybody's phones and it shows. YouTube is nothing special anymore. It is nothing that people don't think about it in terms of their relationships with content creators anymore. It's just, you make the stuff, I watch it, maybe I respond. But no, give me something for my 10 minutes of time I have to poke around on my phone while I'm waiting for the bus or whatever. So much traffic is on mobile these days. That's part of what's driving this. But I think, mobile or not, it's time for us to rethink our relationships to the people we watch on YouTube, myself included, by the way. It bothers me that, I can't find enough time to watch everyone that I want to watch, which is basically TV all over again. But even if I wasn't making anything and I was just a regular viewer, didn't work on my own stuff, I still have an important role to play. Because when people see me, even if I never buy a membership or super chat somebody, I am part of the reason why these creators keep making stuff, because they're not feeling like they're wasting their time. But, excuse me, people wonder why I think Reddit is such a toxic website. It is a 2-hour documentary that I've been meaning to watch. It's on my list for EVTO. Might do it after the show, who knows? There's a 2-hour documentary on why people hate the AVGN these days. I'm like, let them shut down the character then. Oh, but Screenwave Media won't let him do it. Let him just walk away and never come back. He's made plenty of money off of this. Unless he's contractually obligated, he could just retire the character. But, can you imagine yourself, like, what is he, like 2 years older than me? 4 years older than me? How old is he? I know he's at least 40. So, and the thing is, outside of the nerd, he's nothing like, he's just a friendly guy. So he doesn't even match his own character here. 1980, 41. You know, he's getting to the point where he has to, married since 07. Holy crap. Graduated 2004. So graduated college 04, same as me, but he's older. This guy, he's making something that YouTubers have been fans of for decades at this point, and people can't just watch and enjoy. They got to pick apart everything he does. Picked apart. There's an entire subreddit dedicated to not liking the AVGN these days. Look, please, people, please enlighten me. What other, characters or content creators from 06, besides folks like me doing it just for fun, are still trying to keep that old style alive? I've caught up on a few of them. Brookers, for example, did some viral videos in the 2000s, then went off and did some stuff in TV for a bit. She came back to vlogging. Isn't really doing anything that's going to be anything like what she did before. She's kind of doing her own thing. Might as well be a brand new content creator. The Ret Super A guys are streamers now. They play video games of their own instead of riffing on others. Irate Gamer, whatever happened to him? Haven't heard from him since the collab. Nothing's popping up in my feeds or anything. Let me actually just take a look at that. Whatever happened to the, let's see, youtube.com. Just take me over to Irate Gamer's channel. What the hell happened to him? I know RMeg21 struggles with health issues nowadays, but tries to stream every so often. Let's see here. Chris Neo, the Irate Gamer. The algorithms, and he hasn't made a video in 6 months. He did a Micro Machines video, so that's probably why the algorithm's not showing me any of his stuff. I'm subbed to his channel, so even if I had him blacklisted because of the crap from years and years and years ago at this point, he actually still has, from summer 2020, his collab with the AVGN up as his banner on his platform, like he's still trying to ride James's coattails. But 170,000 subs. I don't know, folks. When I was the only one and getting dumped on in the 2000s for thinking that Irate Gamer, even if you ripped off the nerd style, was never gonna unseat the nerd from his popularity and success. I don't know. Can somebody admit at this point that I was right? Just like store brand food doesn't drive national brands out of business. So, YouTube, man. People on YouTube have changed, and not for the better. Everybody has it on their phones nowadays. It's nothing special. So people just turned it into like the regular internet. Trolling, flaming, subreddits, just, bashing the hell out of people who are still keeping series alive because the fans like it. Like, people, think about your relationship with creators. So why are you going off on this tangent? Because I think that's what's going to happen with these network gear videos. I'm switching over to devices that are basically appliances. They are what they are, and trying to find the best way to use them. But because it's not a computer, it's going to be like 30 views or something, which is weird because my TV video, and I forgot to mention this earlier. Let me go back to my channel. It's weird because my TV video is actually the best tech video over the last month and a half, not the computer stuff. in terms of what it's done. It was also featured on the channel page for a couple of weeks, so that's probably part of it. Yeah, let's see. Passing the torch with the Samsung TVs a month ago, 150 views. So TV video does better than computer videos. There you go. So whatever is still floating out there of this whole thing of this must be this giant war to get me to do computer videos all the time, I think it's done at this point. I think it's completely done. So why are you saying this crap? Technology. It's more than just computers. Oh look, the secret disliker who dislikes all my streams already disliked this one. They're subbed to my channel. They're subbed to my channel anyways. So I know they're sub because they'll dislike it when it's unlisted. Yeah, be upset. Go ahead, be upset. But, I'm not going to lie to you to keep you happy. There's a whole world there's a whole scene out there of content creators who will lie to you to keep you happy and not tell you the truth. Go watch some of them. But how about we talk about this forbidden fruit side of this? We'll see what happens. Let's talk about the forbidden fruit and why I'm doing this before people are like, what the hell? Tinker with computers all the time. The reason why I'm getting into this is not just because of the problems with the ISP two nights ago. It's not just because of catching up on firmwares for these things so that when the vendors are like, well, it's obsolete now, no more security updates, there can still be an option that will actually get updated like OpenWRT. The reason why I'm getting into this is because I have about had it with networking being the forbidden fruit of my involvement with technology. And that, folks, is a story that goes back decades at this point. It goes back to college for me. So the reason why I am so much of an activist about not sticking your head up a computer's ass, being nothing but computers, because look at some of the YouTubers that are all big on computers and stuff. What do? Do you ever see them as anything more than like a Louis Rossmann with a small computer shop? Do you ever see them? They're catering to a niche audience, but technology goes way beyond that. Smart technology, cloud technology, it is all part of this. And especially, I think we're at the point right now, like I said earlier, where if you have built a computer, it gives you no credibility for a tech job. You need to be able to think in terms of business, expenses, total cost of ownership, the cost of downtime, and appliances. So you're not spending $1,500 a workstation to equip a workplace with computers. And I'm cynical of this because I've seen it before. An insurance office. You want to know why insurance is so expensive? I went to renew my car insurance once back at the old place where I moved way the heck out here. I go into the office because there wasn't the online stuff we have today. Like 4 people working in this insurance office, processing claims and stuff like that. They made a deal with the local computer place to build their computers for them. They're all sitting in front of gaming towers, taking up a third of their desk, like silver bullet sized gaming towers way up here. Yeah, did they ever use the optical drives for anything? I think they had a network. Maybe they were on wireless. Who knows? But there's freaking gaming towers on these people's desks, taking up like a third of their desks. They're trying to answer phones and do insurance stuff on gaming PCs. Pathetic. These could do what those things did and cover all their needs. Little book thing, put it off to the side. Done. And that's one of the things I think about a lot when it comes to getting back into technology professionally. Sure, the 9-to-5ers I'm involved with, basically their opportunities are all dried up. They don't have the money to really have any real, not even for regular warehouse folks, a form of career advancement. There is no drive a forklift for a couple of years, become a lead, become a supervisor, become a manager. There is no career progression with these people. You drive a forklift forever while your boss has been there forever and is padding out their career as long as they can go. That's the job. That's the workplace. Now, at the beginning of the decade, I was looking into getting back into technology, the new roaring 20s. I was talking about this, and I was looking forward to this because the 2010s sucked. Effects of the Great Recession, the layoff period, you could even say dubstep, if with the dubstep fad, bunch of robots. Wow, 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 whatever. I've grown to like some of that stuff. I can't dub. There were some dubstep remixes that I liked back then, but the big thing in the 2010s was corporate America was crying its eyes out. The recovery from the recession has been long and slow. It's so hard. Then you check the corporate profits after tax, and it came rocketing back in 2009. Financial crisis, one little sink in 2008, and it accelerated even faster after the pandemic recession. So it's almost like corporate America uses capitalizes on crises as an excuse to make everything suck for the people working for them through layoffs or work conditions getting worse or everybody's being asked to do more. Like, decentralized psychopathy, treating people like garbage. Seriously. So I was looking forward to technology, getting back into it. There's a whole scene up the highway from here where there's more going on, also more traffic, higher real estate prices, everything. There's a whole scene out there that I could get involved with. But then the pandemic happened. So skip 2 more years to right now. I'm having to think about if I want to get back into technology professionally in some way. What do I go for and what do I have to deal with? And part of that is what I was talking about right now. What I'm talking about right now, the ugly truth that the hiring managers looking for tech people in large companies want you to be able to handle appliance-y type stuff like this. Your ability to build a fancy gaming rig is nothing useful other than knowing how a computer works. But you can get that from these things too. The concern is that, you want to build gaming PCs out of corporate workstations and you waste a ton of money doing it. It's not glamorous, but it's practical to have nettops and laptops doing everything. Assuming we don't move to a mobile device-based workforce like I thought's been going to happen for the last 10 years. Smartphones, they can cast. Some of them still even have HDMI ports, mini HDMI to HDMI. Have some kind of way of using your phone as a workstation when you're at your desk. Some kind of way to dock or cast to a TV or something like that. And some kind of communication. If it's not a live cast like this, if it's not a live, still got this user benchmark thing going on here. Enough. If it's not a live cast, if it's not like live casting your phone screen, how about something like the Chromecast, where you have a display with a smart TV dongle thingy on or something that basically is dumb and takes everything from your phone and communicates that way. So some way you make up for the latency introduced by this type of, but I mean, a smartphone, you can Bluetooth a keyboard and mouse to a phone and get a mouse pointer in Android. So eliminating the latency to a screen would mean this could be your computer. Handful of watts when the battery's charging. Plenty of CPU these days for basic office stuff. And in some cases, like plenty of RAM. RAM equivalent to a workstation 10, 20 years ago. So I seriously think that the biggest hurdle I'm going to have with any kind of professional technology work or opportunities I may go after is how to reconcile me having built my own computers for 20 years with the way things work in the enterprise, which is very, very different. How do I prove or leave a trail, a breadcrumb trail on something like this channel that I follow despite no opportunities in this area, that I follow this side of technology that looks at appliance-y devices like routers? How do I do that? And so that's the question that I have to answer if I want to do any professional tech work around here. Because, the local computer places, they're not even sticking to computers either. I talk about get your head out of your computer's ass. It's true. Even professionally. I mean, the Louis Rossmans of the world, fine. They'll do fine, but not your mom and pop store. There are actually computer shops around here that have gotten into phone repairs. You crack your screen, they'll repair it for you. They're working on mobile devices and smartphones because there's more business for that than there is on traditional computers. Unless they can ink a deal with a business, and I got news for you. There are established corporate tech services companies out there, like DXC and whatnot, that companies can contract to, that are very well established with far more established players, even in hired services. Just like Peak Rybex for printers. Your little small business is not going to be able to really go very far in today's world versus the established players. And your little computer building skills are not going to be as valuable as they would have been even 20 years ago. Technology has gone in a very different direction. And that's why I want to represent it properly on here by dealing with appliance stuff like this. Networking is the forbidden fruit. It's the thing that I've always not been allowed to do anything with. It's about time I did, especially with Third-party firmware, flashing stuff, and load balancing and managing traffic on the home network with all the smart devices and stuff, eliminating the lights that keep constantly dropping off, and I have to restart the modem to get them hooked back up or restart the device. Dealing with all of that and minimizing downtime, I think, is far more valuable than building another computer. And it would do far more for me because, like the title's been suggesting the whole time we've been streaming for nearly 2.5 hours, networking is my tech video forbidden fruit. It's also my tech forbidden fruit as well. Here's the story. You go back to college, or should I say we go back to high school. My interest in computers began in middle school, actually. Got sat down in front of a Macintosh LC, and it was a graphical computer with a mouse and Mac OS 7.1. Great stuff. It was really cool because the only computers my schools could afford besides those were Apple IIs. So I was familiar with Apple IIe, Apple IIc, Apple IIgs, but it was Pro DOS, professional DOS. It was a DOS system. It was command prompt. There really wasn't much in terms of graphical computing. You put the floppy disk in the drive and played number munchers. But with the Macintosh, it got me introduced to what we now know today, GUI computing, graphical user interface, clicking with the mouse. Now, of course, we have touch screens for touchscreen devices nowadays. And of course, mobile essentially is a computer that fits in your pocket. Really good stuff. So that's where my real interest in computers began, seeing like the Star Trek screensavers from After Dark in the 90s on Macintosh. So, no. Scotty, give me that power from a terrible 1990s animation and a screensaver for Star Wars. That was cool. Sound recorder with a microphone or a computer with a built-in mic, recording alert sounds in Mac OS. That was cool. The sounds that you will hear if you go to my Humble Roots, my multimedia anthology video, and skip to the middle school section. Those sounds of me obviously sounding like a teenager with my cracky voice being like 12, 13, 14 years old. You know, knock it off. Woohoo! Yeah, right. That kind of stuff. That was from that era. So you can tell IT-wise that what I've liked the most is A, the flashier side of technology, aka MultimediaJay, and B, desktop laptop computers. And there was a time in my life where I wanted nothing else as far as a tech background than computers. I wanted to work with computers for a living, help people, fix computers, things like that. Had I stayed in the mindset that I was in as a teenager or even as a 20-something, I'd be the very person nowadays that I criticize. Somebody who can't pull their head out of a computer's ass and realize technology goes way, way, way farther than that. I would have been my own worst enemy if I'd stayed in that mindset. But growing up, so to speak, maturing as an individual and as a professional, and learning about the wonderful wide world beyond whatever computers I could build are the biggest contributor to me actually getting a grip. And coming on here and saying this stuff that I'm saying as forcefully as I'm saying it, because I mean, if you are where I was as a teenager or 20-something, don't even plan on having a career in technology except a struggling tiny computer shop, because you're just not going to have the mindset to really be of value to any organization out there. It's like, I mean, I was making fun of the minimum wage tech jobs in Massachusetts when I saw that posting for help desk positions that we were hiring at $12 an hour back when the minimum wage in Massachusetts was $12 an hour. It's like, there you go. The stigma of minimum wage jobs can now come to IT. I mean, help desk jobs have always been something that people didn't like, going all the way back to college. I knew some guys in college, they worked the help desk on campus and didn't even have a computer in their dorm room, because by the time they were done dealing with everybody's computer problems all day or at their shift or whatever, they didn't even want to touch a computer the rest of the night. Ah, help desking, man. That's why I didn't have a problem with help desking going off to India. But even in India, folks in India were like, yeah, help desking sucks. And there was a revolt against help desking over there, too. So, bada bing. So, college. Networking was the forbidden fruit. There was a crap ton of favoritism and nepotism in my college IT. So much that when an outsider who'd previously worked at IBM became the vice president of information services, he went on a firing spree. And he completely upended the nepotism that ran the campus. He made plans for the first time ever, a proper data center with proper servers and rack mount stuff to run critical systems like students registering for their classes instead of a Pentium 2 tower on the floor in someone's office with a spaghetti cable going to an extra LAN port in the wall. That's the crap that this guy cleaned up. Of course, he was known as the IT Darth Vader because he was firing people all over the place. But it was the right thing to do. Here was a business school supposed to be teaching people how to be good at stuff in corporate America, and they were terrible role models for lots of businessy stuff outside of your classes. So, but yeah, there's a crap ton of favoritism. The ultimate example, one of the guys I roomed with in the suite, the original Geek Suite, Summer the Geek 2002, last summer, 2003, network guy. But he hated my website. He hated my focus on presentations. He was also colorblind too. Became a media production specialist at the place after we graduated. Was involved in the TV production studio, and I wasn't. There you go. A guy who even physically is limited in the kind of presentations that he can do is the one with the giant media experience and the Infocom certification, not the guy who was Mr. AV after rising through the ranks on the audiovisual team. So, that kind of an environment of back scratching wasn't kind to me getting introduction to networks. Never mind my attitude at the time where I was like, oh yeah, computers. And I focus on coding in Visual Basic, systems analysis and design, and had trouble with the classes that weren't PC hardware. I didn't even understand why systems analysis and design was even necessary. It didn't even feel like a computer class. But it was part of the core curriculum. I know now because I'm not an idiot. But I pulled my head out of the computer's ass and saw the whole rest of the tech world besides computers. So, college, I was an AV guy. Knew the presentation stuff, worked with the laptops, just built my own system, was big on presentations, hence MultimediaJay. Made a television-style mock newscast that got an A in the class at broadcast media senior year, hosted by a guy from a local TV station who was teaching as an adjunct as a side job. Networking was the forbidden fruit. Networking was kind of locked, couldn't do anything with it. Had friends getting into routers and switches and firewalls and packet shaping and stuff, and experienced it firsthand in the dorms with the attempts to firewall games and not take down the school's network, because back then, a high-end business network was T1 lines, 1.5 megabits per second, synchronous DSL technology. We had 2 T1s when I first went there. So 3 megabits up and down, running a campus with 2,000 students, faculty, and staff. Yeah, it's weird. Let me just make sure that let me just make sure, where can I put this? Let me just make sure that I'm not gaslighting myself and I really am remembering that it really was that bad. Weird Al Yankovic talked about having a T1 line at his house. Techipedia, do I have Wikipedia on here? T-Carrier, okay, there we go. The T-Carrier is a series of carrier systems developed by AT&T's Bell Laboratories for digital transmission of multiplex telephone calls. Sounds like an upgrade from ISDN. T1s were introduced in 1962, 24 telephone calls simultaneously over a single transmission line of copper wire. This is like the forerunner to fiber these days. See, multiples of the basic T1, 1.5 megabit data rates. T2s were 6 megabits, T3s were 44.7 megabits. The ISP variant of it was basically synchronous DSL at a time when DSL service was like 384 kilobits per second. You know, and 1.5 was a premium tier, but you wouldn't get T1 speed because it was asynchronous. I had that for a couple of years when I first started. I first started this YouTube channel on 1.5 megabits down DSL. Maybe it's a good thing that YouTube had the 100 megabyte upload limit when I had an asynchronous connection with 1.5 down in 2006. Great stuff here. T3s, you could actually buy a partial T3. I think some of these you can do partials as well. So, I mean, but you know, my network friend was always telling me, oh, we got a T1 line, we got a partial T3, we got all this other stuff. We're trying to contract to get all more bandwidth and blah, 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 blah. But, I mean, over DSL, or over dial-up, I should say, you'd be lucky if you got like 1 meg per second download speed, or no, kilobytes. 5 kilobytes per second download speeds max over dial-up. On my college's network, it was like 10 to 20K per second. There was a SOX server and an internet caching server you could use that took you off of the residential subnet and put you on the subnet that the classrooms ran off of that was usually way less congested. If you used the proxy server, the SOX server they were running, you were moved over to the same part of the network as the classrooms and it wasn't as congested. So I used that quite a bit. It was buried in the technical help files for how to use the college network, but that was fun. Got faster download speed, so like 20 to 30K per second instead of 10. But that was the extent of the network stuff that I got to do in college. I used the SOX server. I read the manual, hooked up to the SOX server, and got slightly faster download speeds, downloading indie songs off of mp3.com or something, some of which I still have to this day. They were in my CD backups, so I can just restore them at any time with an optical drive. There's even a song out there that was a popular party song that people used to blast out their windows. It was called Ready or Not by DJ Do. Now, are you ready? It was a dance song, so it was kind of like Darude Sandstorm, early 2000s dance. It was like Darude Sandstorm or Alice DJs on Better Off Alone and stuff. Can't find it anywhere. It's not on YouTube. There's no content ID for it. There's no content ID track for it, so I don't know if the song has disappeared into the ether. I could probably play it, even though it was commercial music back then, and not get a content ID on it. So I don't know what happened. That song was so popular on campus because it was the heydays of the original mp3.com. After they had to take off the copyrighted stuff during the Napster debacle, there were still some indie artists on there that were pretty cool and could make stuff that sounded pretty similar to the stuff on the radio being sold on CDs for $18.98 a CD. So yeah, I just wonder where it went. DJ Do, Ready or Not. I got the song. I got the MP3 from mp3.com 22 years later, still in my music folders these days. I listened to it for old time's sake the other night. It's not on YouTube. I don't know why it never made it onto YouTube. I'm surprised nobody's made a track on YouTube. Maybe it really was that indie and people remember more popular EDM artists at the time. Getting a little empty on this stuff. So that was college. Then, well, what about after college? Now, we talk about the forbidden fruit. After college, when I was working as an IT support specialist for the local warehouse folks around here, saving a lot of calls to the help desk because I could fix things in-house and they didn't have to wait for the obligatory help desk putting you on hold for 3 minutes every single call. And then it got shifted off to India. So navigating the accents of Indian English was a struggle for these backwoods Connecticut folks that didn't deal with anything but hillbillies and whatnot. Oh, let's go mudding in my truck after work today. Yes, that stuff does exist in New England, even in a state like Connecticut. So, country, baby. So the help desk positions went to India, and I can help you troubleshoot. Let me put you on hold for 3 minutes. Tiniest little thing. I'm gonna. Let me. This is very bad. I'm going to put you through to my supervisor. I don't make fun of Indian English these days, though. It's a form of English just like American English and British English. They learned it from the British just like we did. So, yeah. Accent humor is not really my thing anymore because I know the psychology behind having an accent. The part of your brain that develops language matures around age 10. So any language that you learn afterwards, you're probably going to have a hard time not speaking with an accent. And that's why for help deskers in India, there was very specific intensive training to try and speak English accent neutral if you were an ESL person there. So let's clear that up in a hurry. I've been on the phone with lots of people from India and can navigate Indian English quite well. Thank you very much. So, IT support specialist until the layoffs in 2012. I was on so many calls with India. The movie Outsourced popped up on Netflix. Loved it. Have it on DVD nowadays. Can also watch it via Amazon Prime if it's still up. Standard def. Never went high def, so it's DVD only. There's a TV show that was based on it that might have been higher quality, but the original movie from the 2000s, all right. So, but despite the fact that nowadays the position would probably be called Technical Analyst 1, I wasn't allowed to do anything with the networks. I mean, I could walk around with Xeris Wi-Fi inspector on a laptop, carrying a laptop like I'm carrying a plate of food at a restaurant. Actually, I also used to hug laptops and carry them like they were giant tablets. People would joke about, he's walking around with his iPad, because I'd open it up all the way and then hug it so I didn't drop the laptop. There were more laptops with hard drives too, so they're more susceptible to mechanical shock. But even with an SSD, a laptop to the concrete floor, not a good combination. You better be super careful with that. So I could go around and see, oh, this AP, there's no signal. It's failing over to the next closest AP. Maybe we should have someone hop on a scissor lift, go up in the air and see if the AP has fried itself when it was 100 degrees and dusty in the middle of summer. Yeah. I've dealt, even without doing network stuff, I dealt with some computers in the warehouses that were not blown out on a regular basis. Go there with an air can. Hey, can I borrow an air can? I'm going to blow out your system so it runs cooler. I take it out onto the middle of the receiving dock or something like that. Pop the cover. Caked dust. I'm like, this is going to be fun. Maybe I should wear a mask. Or sometimes I went to the maintenance shop. I got to use their really heavy-duty compressed air guns. Like, giant dust cloud. Looks like I set off a smoke grenade on the receiving dock from the computer not being blown out. Probably triggered, I usually triggered my allergies when I did that too. But no, I wasn't allowed to do anything with the network hardware except, hey, this AP might not be doing anything. It would be the next person up from me that would remote in to the device and see if it had gone down, if they even could. You know, otherwise some way to flip the power to restart it and see if it'll work then. Yep. Them's were the days. So as you can see, college and the most hardware-focused job I've ever had with technology, I was not the kind of person that worked with network stuff. Obviously, during the layoff period, just doing regular warehouse work, that was also not a thing for me. Except if you want to count me cleaning everybody's cable modems at that rinky-dink cable job that I only had for 3 months with the probably needs psychological help supervisor that was angry and unprofessional all day long. Of course, the cable folks have been bought out multiple times since then, and I Google earthed Street View of the area where I used to go to that job, and it was sold a long time ago. So maybe the whole place got shut down. Those people were all laid off. So yeah, come back from the doldrums of the early 2010s and the layoffs and the effects of the Great Recession. And I'm doing data science stuff, but I'm still working with the tech analysts too on some hardware things here and there. But that was mostly desktop, laptop, printer, as well as RF, the mobile computers that the warehouses all use, whether wrist-mounted or handheld or on the trucks. A little bit of a reprisal of my hardware role, but I was mostly a data science guy running queries in ODBC and stuff like that to get a grip on the operations of the place as it upgraded its technology. They went from paper picking to voice picking, and that was a real mess because there were so many people who knew that there was going to be more accountability in their jobs with the labor management that were fighting it tooth and nail every step of the way. I even had to go digging through service literature for the they're called Talkmans, Vocollect, that's right. I even had to go, I think someone else owns them nowadays, so I had a hard time with the name. I had to go searching through the service literature for the Vocollect gear to show someone that the radiation used for the Bluetooth was non-ionizing, so it wouldn't be a cancer risk, because there's someone that even tried to play that card with the voice gear. I'm wearing a Bluetooth headset all day. It's going to mess with my brain and give me cancer. Right there in the service literature, declaration of, there's a explicit declaration in the service literature that the radiation was non-ionic and stuff like that. Had to print that out for her. But yeah, so networking, not a thing. So it's just this thing, and you know how it goes with forbidden fruit. Forbidden fruit is always sweeter. When somebody tells you can't do something, it just makes you want to do it all the more. It's not like I'm totally an idiot when it comes to networks. I know some network commands. I've checked for network latency before. I've done ping, trace route, sometimes consistent ping to see when something came back up. I know about the interfaces when someone remotes into a switch, because I saw someone working on a Cisco switch one day, and they introduced me to the interface where they could change the ports at the logical level to separate off. So you could have these 4 ports here. These 2 and these 2 are on separate VLANs, and they can't see each other. So you can keep certain devices separate via settings in the switch. So I've seen all this stuff before, but I haven't done too much with it except for DDWRT, Tomato, and fancy settings in routers. And now I have a situation on my hands where I have to act. Even before the maintenance thing the other night, I was still having smart devices drop off, and then I find out that 802.11ax, aka Wi-Fi 6, 802.11ax, aka Wi-Fi 6, was not an upgrade over 802.11ac because of speed. It was an upgrade in stability, built for the networks of today, where you might have, as I have right now, let's see, do I have the phone? Like 24 devices going to a single consumer grade router from 5 years ago. And I wonder why stuff keeps dropping off. And then there's the situation with my broadband, that the cheapo internet is 110, the intermediate is 220. The power line component, nice and stable. I'm at 6200 going out to the YouTube ingest servers. Rock solid, no lag, no nothing. Sorry, Logan. It was all on your end earlier. But incredible reliability for streaming because it's a wired connection. But it's speed limited to about 150 on the devices that I use for the power line stuff. In order to benefit from faster speeds, we got to go the wireless route if I don't want to play with spaghetti cables. That means newer standards. And I'm seeing bits and pieces of it on the router, the little Asus router that I have running everything right now. That's 802.11n up to 300. Nerdovo has a newer Wi-Fi on it than the turd Shiba did. It can get like 60, 70 down on that ratty old router when it's sharing it with 23 other devices. So makes me wonder, dedicated network equipment, what does that mean if I have a dedicated lane for the devices that need the speed? Maybe dedicated frequencies, channels, the whole 9 yards. We're talking architecture here. We're talking the business side of things here. We're talking TCO, total cost of ownership, not creating e-waste by throwing out stuff we can still use, like the 54G. Like the 54G over here that could probably run smart devices. Because do smart devices need a lot of speed? When the most they're going to get is firmware updates? No. And of course, the Frontier gateway. What's the link speed on the Frontier box? Could I convert this into a router like the technician said I should have done years ago? It's like when I tried to get rid of the old, hey, do you need a router? You can use these as routers. I don't have to put this back in my van and take it back and throw it out. Because Frontier stopped renting gear and they started selling it. This is technically something I've purchased, but I want the opportunity to flash it back, to have Frontier flash it back if I ever go back to their service and they're still using these. With how outdated their service is, you never know. Plus, that gateway is an Aris box, not unlike the cable modems I dealt with at that one attempt I tried working for the cable company. It was fun getting courtesy service 25 down, 2 up, though, for 3 months, even though I never had the chance to cancel the DSL that I had the whole time. It's probably good that I didn't, since the job only lasted 3 months. But yeah. Networking is my tech video forbidden fruit, and it's my technology forbidden fruit. I just hope that everybody doesn't stick their nose in the air and walk away because I'm making videos about routers and stuff. There are channels that deal with this stuff on a more regular basis that have followings and things like that. But it's just, if there's anything that, all this tech video stuff has taught me, is that your success with tech videos on YouTube is directly linked to what your audience thinks technology is. Because technology is a huge umbrella. You could be talking computers, you could be talking network stuff, you could be talking mobile. I also have a project involving 2 smartphones that I want to make one working smartphone out of. We mentioned it earlier. So, that's just people and their attitudes these days. The single biggest barrier to success in my ability to have IT jobs, like that time I had some lazy ass IT manager with a Hawaiian shirt and his feet on the desk telling me I had no direction in life because I was working in a warehouse during the layoff period. It's so much crap that has been way too dependent upon other people. The sad truth is, for the people that think that they can bully me into whatever, is that one of the reasons I'm doing tech videos is to show that I still do things with this stuff. I don't care what your opinion is. No, you can think I suck all you want. The bottom line is I'm doing stuff, not just sitting here talking about it. Showcasing that I'm willing to get into the nitty-gritty and get my hands dirty to get something like this working. That's more than I can say for your average YouTube hater that just sits there disliking your videos and telling you you suck, you're fat, you're wasted time. That's 10 minutes of my life that I'll never get back in the olden days. But never understanding that all you have to do is click their name when they post a nasty comment, and you can see their channel that often has nothing on it. They flap their mouths, but they don't walk the walk. Then again, I see similar stuff on Twitter these days. Why is it such a persistent thing with people being nasty on the internet that they never understand just how easy it is to see that somebody has no credibility whatsoever, and that you might as well just blow them off? Like some of the sock puppets on Twitter these days. I'll leave that for you folks to figure out. In the meantime, wake up, everybody. We got some tinkering with routers to do. Wow. Stuff from streams from this. Some some hard-ass discussion. Some not-so-hard-ass discussion. Channel content. Science and technology category. Come on, Firefox. Or is the router barfing now and I'm about to get thrown offline? Live. No demonetization. What a shocker. A text stream with no demonetization. A chat stream with no demonetization. Well, boy, isn't that awesome. Let me guess. Now it's going to process so fast that I'm not going to get a chance to... Let me guess. Now it's going to process so fast I don't get a chance to make that stuff from streams. And YouTube, that's a little flaky these days. But 2.5 hours, how long can that take to process? Well, I'm going to zip on over to my other logon and see if I can extract that second copy of the file to make that video, and I'll probably put it in as a video response with the discussion of YouTube live features. And then we'll figure out what to do the rest of the night. But I need to do stuff. No questions asked. This may be Project EVTO, but it is not a vacation. And I'm not happy with the slow pace of how things have gone so far. Thing is, though, a lot of my subs on Twitch are expiring, except for Twitch Prime, which went to Jay Streezy this afternoon. But I'm at the point where I think Twitch is poison to content creators. So why should I be involved in that ecosystem, except for the handful of streamers that I'll actually still watch? Shouldn't make any real effort to meet any new people, although the Twitch algorithms have certainly been introducing me to some. But yeah, almost 3 hours today. Not bad for a chat stream. As far as the gaming streams go, we're not even going to touch that until we get this figured out. Well then, we know what time it is. It's time to do something other than play some stuff. Got to update the channel page too. Put Project EVTO under the, catch up on the latest. We're going to be doing this for quite some time. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by.